All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth again. So today, doing episode 8 of my podcast. You remember all things boxing on this. Today, we're bringing in a guest, the first guest on our show. And this is my boy Melly. I've been talking to him for the last few weeks about boxing and stuff. And he's a really knowledgeable guy. He knows his stuff. And, really looking forward to chopping it up with him on this episode. Maybe he'll be doing it going forward. We'll see what happens. But what's up, Mel? How you doing, man?
Man, good, man. Just got done with a long day of work, man.
Oh yeah, I feel you, man. Me too. So we're gonna. First off, let's hear a little something about Melly. Why are you so passionate about boxing, man? Who are some of your favorite fighters? The guys that got you into the sport?
You know me, man. I'm young, so I grew up in like the fight night era. Like I was playing fight night, got me into like boxing. I remember I used to play it, and I ain't really know the boxing name. I used to just like it, but like who really got me in like liking boxing? I admit I came up in the floor era, 24/7, like stuff like that. That really got me in the boxing.
Yeah. What I remember about the 24/7 is I finally got tired of picking against Floyd because the 24/7 shows used to make you think that the other guy actually had a chance.
That's what made the 24/7 show so good.
Yeah. No, I feel you, man. It was just like it's like when I actually had a little glimpse that Robert Guerrero might pull off the upset, and I'm just like, man, what is wrong with you? You knew that wasn't going to happen. So,
Bro,
but
Floyd was a master at marketing, bro.
oh yeah, absolutely. He was, man. Very, very smart guy. Very smart guy. Yeah, no, I feel you though, man. I'm a little bit older, man. Late 30s, and for me it was Mike Tyson, man. I grew up right like I was about 7, 8 years old when he lost to Buster Douglas, and that was like the biggest thing of all time right there for the heavyweight division. I was like the biggest upset. And after him, it was, Chavez obviously was still at his height. And then, but De La Hoya was the guy for me. I mean, that was the guy that really kind of sold the sport for me. Because for me, he wasn't a flashy guy. He was just humble. He did his thing, went in there and made a lot of money. And that was always my big thing. But ever since then, I love Roy Jones, man. That was one of my favorite fighters. Juan Manuel Marquez, the rivalries with Pacquiao. I mean, those were amazing. And obviously Floyd and Pacquiao. I mean, that was great. So those are some of the guys for me that I really, really fell in love with and everything. That's why I love the sport so much.
Now, I like to pick who I consider like my favorite boxers. I would say, Floyd, Panera, my number one. Roy Jones, Sugar Ray, Mike, Ali, Chavez, De La Hoya, Winky Wright,
Yeah.
people like that. Man, Pacquiao,
Right.
people like that. With Terrence Crawford, I like Terrence Crawford. The first Terrence Crawford fight I seen was the Yu-Gi-Oh! Gamboa fight.
Oh
I
man,
remember watching
great
that right
fight.
there.
Yeah, great fight. Yeah, no, that's a good first
I remember
Crawford.
like after round 4 when he adjusted, he just straight up destroyed Gamboa, man.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but the heart that Gamboa showed, man, is what made that fight so good.
Gamboa might have been the fastest opponent Bud had ever faced.
Well, you remember even in that, what was it, the 9th round when he finished him? Do you remember that Gamboa caught Bud when Bud was coming in?
Bud got too aggressive. He had caught Bud with a quick one.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think that win is so underrated for Bud because your girl Gamboa was undefeated at the time.
Yeah. He was a unified champ at 126. It just why it's underrated is because Gamboa was very inactive after he had kind of taken over at 126. He became very inactive. So I think when he fought Bud, he hadn't fought anybody good in like a year and a half, 2 years. So people don't give him enough credit for it.
I think another thing that hurt Bud is kind of like the Floyd thing, where Floyd would beat the opponent so convincingly, like there ain't no way that man was that good. He would beat him so convincingly, like that man had to be a bomb.
Well, yeah, exactly. They start picking apart the opponent like it's instead of giving credit to how good the main guy is. I totally agree with you on that one because Bud, even some of the fighters that aren't big names coming in, these guys got really good amateur backgrounds and stuff, and they're just not big names yet. But Bud goes out there and smashes them, and people don't want to give him respect. But yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. But Yeah, so hey, and something going forward. I'd like to do on this, and we'll discuss it maybe at the end. Is maybe we just pick a topic, old fighter or whatever, break down a resume, something like that, in the middle of our podcast. Just to kind of discuss some of the fights from the past and different things like that, because that's where it all comes from, man. Is the memories and everything that we've seen that makes this sport so great for me, anyway. So, but all right, guys. So what we're going to discuss is most of you guys have got my opinions from my YouTube channel, but also from my other podcast. But I want to kind of go over some of the fights that have happened this year, since we're about a third of the way through the year of boxing. Some of the main events that happen, and get Melly's perspective on things. We'll kind of chop it up about each fight, going back and forth. And then once we're done with that, we'll get into the fights that are coming up, specifically the fight that the big fight, Canelo and Bivol, that's taking place this Saturday on DAZN. But before that, we're going to, since it's so fresh, we're going to kick it off with what just happened over this past weekend between we'll kick it off with the Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor fight, but we'll discuss the undercard fight first, the Liam Smith and Jesse Vargas fight. So, first off, did you watch that fight, Melly?
Yeah, I seen it. I watched the zone highlights that they posted. It was a good fight from what I seen.
Yeah, they were going toe to toe, man. That was a good one. I'm not surprised though at the outcome, just because I know I picked Liam Smith to win, but Jesse Vargas taking 2 years off and then coming back against a guy like Liam Smith, I thought that was a mistake, man. What'd you think about that?
I think it was more. I think it was more of him. I think more of the zone through that bag and he couldn't turn it down.
Yeah. I just think Jesse's been very picky with his opponents the last couple years, and I just
I
thought,
think
man, like,
Liam Smith is a good fight. Is a good fight. I just feel like he kind of people make him seem worse because Canelo destroyed him.
yeah, exactly. No, I'm with you on that one. Now, Liam Smith, very credible, man. I don't know if you remember that fight he had with Jaime Munguia back in 2018, but that was an all-out war, man. That was a good-ass fight. So, yeah, but I just thought, for me, I just thought Jesse Vargas just bit off a little more that he could chew. He probably should have taken a tune-up fight first or something, but it's all good. But do you think Jesse can bounce back from that, man? He lost a couple years ago to Mikey. It's tough to bounce back off of
I
that.
think Jesse Vargas, he should at the stage at the. I mean, he at the stage of his career where he should be just trying to get the biggest paydays he could possibly get.
Yeah, definitely, man. Either that or move back down to 147 where there's bigger fights there, and maybe his punch is a little bit stronger at
If he go
147.
back to 147, I think if he went back to 147, I'd say he need to take a couple of tune-ups and maybe fight Conor Ben. That'd be a good fight.
Oh, that'd be a great one right there. I'd love to see that. He'd be a very good test opponent for Conor Ben, to see how good Conor Ben is. Well, the Katie Taylor Amanda Serrano fight, undisputed lightweight title, man. You watched that one. I didn't get a chance to see it. I saw the highlights. What'd you think, man?
It was a very close fight. I think at the end it come down to, do you think Serrano's early assault was enough, or do you think Katie Taylor being able to box at the end and get them rounds was another one? It all depends on what do you favor more.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's been a lot of fights where, actually, somebody said this the other day. We were talking about robberies, and they brought up the De La Hoya and Felix Sturm fight, and how they thought De La Hoya got destroyed. I'm like, well, if you look at the first 7 rounds of that fight, De La Hoya was really in it, and he was throwing a lot of body punches and was landing a lot. But the last 5 rounds, Felix Sturm came on and like whipped De La Hoya's ass the last 5 rounds. So it's kind of one of those things. And yeah, I mean, I picked Amanda Serrano, and I really did think it was a 50-50 fight, but I'm kind of not surprised Katie Taylor won. But it really was from what I hear, I mean, I didn't see it live. It was a pretty competitive fight, as to be expected. So
I can say this: Serrano versus Taylor was the fight women boxing needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you, because I'm going to be real with you. I'm not a huge women's boxing fan, and I'll tell you why. It's nothing to do with it's women's boxing. It's because most of the fights, most of them, end without knockouts, man. Without knockouts. There's a lot of decisions, but this type of level fight, even I got interested in. And when you're putting a fight like Vargas and Smith as your co-feature, it's a big women's fight right there. And to headline at MSG in New York, man, I mean, that's history right there,
Facts, and then they sold it out.
Yeah, and that's huge, man. So I was really happy because that only makes boxing bigger right there, you know. So that was a big deal right there. I really enjoyed that they did well. You think rematch is going to happen?
Oh, of course, most likely they talking about doing it in Ireland, in a stadium, 80,000 stadium now. If they can sell
Yeah.
out an $80,000 stadium, that'll be a mega.
Yeah, I absolutely think so too, man. I think it'll be good. Hey, real quick, let's go back for a second. What do you think Liam Smith does forward now, following his win over
Oh,
Vargas, man?
yeah, he's in an interesting spot right now. I think, I think right now, I think he's not getting a title shot in there. So I think his best move is to look for another big name fighter to fight, another big name.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah. Well, what I like about Liam is last year he got a lot. Most people feel he got robbed against Kurbanov, right?
mhm.
So now Kurbanov is number 2 in the WBO behind what's his name? Jesus, I'm drawing a blank right now. Who's the guy?
Timzu,
What's that?
Timzu.
Yeah, Tim Tszyu, yeah. So if for some reason the winner of Charlo and Castano doesn't fight Tim Tszyu next, Zhu's going to fight for the vacant belt probably against Kurbanov. Well, Liam Smith would be a great next opponent. So if Liam Smith can keep himself busy or take on another big name opponent, I would love to see
I
Liam Smith
think
go after Tim Tszyu.
I think that's the type of fight Tim Tszyu need. That's why I'm not really sold on Tim Tszyu. He like I get the hype and the record, but bro, he hasn't fought nobody.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest names he's beaten. I mean, Gaucher was a good test opponent because Gaucher,
I think
you
Jeff
know,
Horn and that was like
yeah. Jeff Horn's trash, bro. I'm sorry, he's trash.
I
That
think
dude's
that's his
always
best
trash.
win probably.
Well, no, what's his name? The other guy he beat from God, Dennis Hogan. Dennis Hogan was a
Oh
good
yeah,
win
Dennis Hogan.
because
Okay,
yeah,
that's a
yeah, you
see.
know that was a
I
good
think
win,
like
but
you just like
that was
Tim
more of a
Tszyu, you got
domestic.
dropped by a guy you was supposed to run through. So you need to. I
Yeah,
don't get why you pushing so hard for the Castano Charlo one because I don't think he's ready for Charlo at all.
yeah, and well, honestly, we're going to discuss that fight when we get to it in a little bit. But the big fight from Saturday, the 30th, everybody, Shakur Stevenson dominates Oscar Valdez to unify the two belts at 130 pounds and really leave no doubt who the number one guy at 130 is. I predicted him to stop Valdez, but Valdez showed a lot of heart and stayed in there and landed some shots. He just, you said it earlier. Me and you were talking earlier before the podcast, and I mean, it was a good fighter against a great fighter, and that's the kind of stuff that can happen in those fights. So, what'd you think, man?
It was like you said what I expected. Shakur was good. I think at times Shakur got kind of reckless at times. Now I ain't that's straight right. A lot of fighters are gonna look at that and say that's a good point to land because that straight right was getting through.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
overall,
definitely.
Shakur did his thing though. It just now I'm just interested to see what's gonna happen after.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, me and we were talking about that too. I mean, I'm not sure if the WBA is going to mandate Gutierrez to fight Garcia next. There was rumors of that after Garcia, before the Garcia Colbert fight, they said it was a final eliminator, but nobody really thought Garcia was going to upset Colbert. Then he did, and the WBA still hasn't ordered that mandatory. But I think if Shakur said after the fight he wants to unify all the belts at 130. The IBF is tied up. I think there's 2 mandatories due for the IBF coming up. So if I'm Shakur, I'm going after the Gutierrez fight. If not,
I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Oshia Foster is the WBC mandatory, and that's not an easy fight for Shakur either. He's not a big name. That's like one of
yeah,
them high risk lower war fights right there.
yeah. Well, he dominated. What was it? Mickey Roman. That was a big win he got over Mickey Roman, who was a good fighter a couple years back. But also another guy to think about is Robson Concicho. We'll discuss him in a few minutes, but the way, honestly, like I said, we'll discuss it in a few minutes. It's one of the first fights to talk about from earlier this year. But last year, I thought Concicho beat Oscar Valdez in September, man. I thought it was a close fight, but I thought he outboxed him, and he's right there in line. And if Shakur's waiting around for the champions to determine the mandatories and stuff, like, if he's got to wait around, I think Concicho, he's with Top Rank. I think that makes sense for Shakur next. That'd be a good opponent, good test opponent. He can go
Yeah,
show Valdez what's
like
up.
I said, 130 got a lot of be a lot of good, like a lot of good fighters, like even some great fighters. There's not a lot of huge names.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, man. Well, let's
Navarrete moves up, and that's gonna be interesting to see.
yeah, because you know what? Navarrete is awkward, bro. He's got an awkward style.
And
You know,
Navarrete, he got the height and the reach to actually master.
yeah, yeah. Well, what I like about Navarrete is he reminds me a lot of Marquez, to where he doesn't fight like your prototypical Mexican fighter, where he just comes straight forward. You know, he boxes from angles, and he's a good boxer puncher. He's not just a slugger. You know, so I don't think he beat Shakur. I think Shakur is on another level, but still, it's an interesting style matchup right there. So we'll see. But what do you think Valdez does after that, man?
Valdez is an interesting position right now because he can't make 126 no more, and there's not a lot of huge names at 130 rebound against. I would, I would say, it's gonna be. I don't really think. I can't really think of a name for him to fight next. 'Cause, like, they're not gonna run it. They're not gonna do the Concicho fight again. I mean,
Um,
if Jeremiah Naka, no, I wouldn't put him in there with Jeremiah Nakathila. No.
yeah, yeah. You saw what Nakathila did to Burchell, and we'll talk
Yeah,
about that in a little bit too.
Nakathila, that's an underrated monster right there.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with going back earlier in the year. We're going to discuss some main events that took place and go back and forth. The first one was Gary Russell's 12-round majority decision loss to Mark Maxillo back in January. You know, yeah, Russell came in the champion. Maxillo was the number one contender and pulled off the upset. So what do you think about that one, man?
Very close fight. I think it was a very close fight. Very close fight. I think Messiah did a good job of keeping the pressure on. He realized that Gary Russell's Jr. left arm was not there, so he just kept the pressure on. He couldn't jab me off on him. He can't keep me off of you, so I'm just gonna stay on you the whole fight. And I mean, Gary Russell was out boxing him, but if you find somebody that's bigger than you, younger than you, and more powerful than you, and you can't jab to keep them off you in for a hard night.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that because, you know, Gary Russell, I kind of go back and forth. I respect the hell out of his style and I like, you know, his aggressiveness when he does fight. It's just I hate that he doesn't fight that much. And
yeah,
you
Gary
know,
Russell Jr. I mean, I get he was avoided, but at the same time, bro, you completely wasted your prime, bro.
yeah. Well, that's the thing
One
is
fight, like it's like Gary
yeah.
Jr. kind of like in the. I look at Gary Jr. like I look at Habu Andre. It's like he goes for the big names, and if he can't get them, he just like, okay, I don't want to fight nobody else. Like what? Like
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, man. Like that disappointed the hell out of me because I like Gary Russell and I've always picked him at the top of 126 in terms of like
that's
if he
another
fought
thing I think that hurt him. Like I feel he should have moved up years ago.
Yeah, well, he talked all the shit about it. I mean, Gervonta was at 130 for the longest time, and he kept talking about
right?
fighting.
And like I feel that's something about fighters I never understood about fighters. If you see in the division that you're in, you're being avoided. Why are you staying in that division?
Well, it's not just that. It's why aren't you staying active? If you're so avoided, the only way to sell yourself is to go fight and like maybe
Exactly.
change your
Keep
style up,
fighting.
knock people out.
Like me as a fan, I don't like when a fighter's first fight of the year is in the summer. Like that lets me know you're probably not going to fight again the rest of this year.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
no,
it's
I
like
agree
your
with that.
first fight is in July. It's like, okay, yeah, you probably not fight. You probably gonna fight in maybe December at least.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, with Russell, it's going to be a long road back. I think he's 34.
Oh yeah.
I think he's going to have to get surgery, you know, and
Gary Russell Jr. They definitely first they didn't want to fight you when you had a belt. They definitely not going to fight you now.
Yeah, he's gonna have to earn it for real, you know. And hopefully we see because for me it's a waste of skill. You know what I'm saying? To see him not fight because I loved his skill, but you know we'll see what he does going forward, man. Mark Maxillo, he's fighting Ray Vargas in July.
That's a good fight. I'm tell you what I want to see. I want to see the winner of that fight either Santa Cruz, Lara, or Navarrete.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think the thing is the PBC working with those guys. I mean, I know they'll work with Leo Santa Cruz if Santa Cruz is still champ for sure. You know, and that would be a great one. Honestly, I got Vargas beating Maxillo as of right now. I haven't done a breakdown video on it, but Maxillo's got the power advantage, but Vargas has got he throws more punches. He's got in my opinion, he's a little more skillful. But I mean, I would love to see Vargas and Leo Santa Cruz before Leo Santa Cruz is too old. You know what I mean? So,
What you think
all
about
right.
what you think about Santa Cruz versus Lee Wood?
Well, it has to happen, and I think Santa Cruz. I think Santa Cruz can box and punch, and I think he can beat Lee Wood. But I'm not counting Lee Wood out, man. And we'll get to Lee Wood in a little bit too when we discuss his last fight. But moving on, we're gonna talk about Robson Concicho and Xavier Martinez that also fought on Top Rank in January. So on ESPN in January, Concicho dominated, one-sided, unanimous decision win. Were you surprised by that at all?
No, not really. I think Conciso's performance against Vargas, though he lost, they put him on the map.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. The dude's an Olympian. I mean, it's a great amateur record. And again, I thought he beat Valdez, man. I mean, I really did. It was a close fight, but I thought he beat Valdez. So I'm happy to see it. And like I said, we're mentioning him, but don't be surprised if he gets Shakur later in the year, man. I really wouldn't be surprised by that at all. Xavier Martinez, though, he was a PBC guy, and then he signed with Top Rank. And I don't know, man. I saw him fight a veteran and Juan Carlos Burgos last year or the year before, and he just didn't impress me, bro. And so going in against Concicho, I didn't think he was going to stand up to Concicho. And, I mean, he just got dominated, man. It was one-sided and everything. So it's going to be a long road back for that kid. He's really got to look over and see what he needs to do to go forward to be successful, because he got thrown in there against a big dog in Concicho and got his ass whipped. So, all right, we're moving on. I'm going to talk about the Cruiserweight rematch between Elunga Makabu and Tabiso Machunu. And the only reason I'm bringing that up is because realistically, Makabu's still an option for Canelo in December. He's a back burner option, but he's still an option for Canelo to move up and become the first ever. The reason why Canelo is considering this fight is because he'll be the first ever Mexican to win a title in 5 different weight classes. So that's a big deal for him.
Plus, Makabu is very beatable.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it's
that's
the green
thing,
belt.
Though.
Yeah.
After that is a fight nobody wants to see, but if it happens, I promise you, Canelo's fans are going to go and defend that fight. Like, I remember when it first happened, he's a bigger challenge. Like, bro, how? Because he's bigger. Like, that don't mean he's a bigger challenge. That just means he's a big guy.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Canelo's my favorite fighter right now, but honestly, I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it because there's other better options, and Canelo can always move up and win a title in a 5th weight class later on.
I think that's the problem a lot of people have with Canelo. It's like Canelo, it's not that you're picking weak opponents. It's that you're picking names nobody was asking to see, except for the Billboard. But you're picking a guy nobody wants to see you fight. Like, this is my thing about Canelo. I had to realize about Canelo. Canelo, you are the biggest star in the sport. Fans do not care about you in title fights or mandatory. They care about you being in the biggest fights possible.
Yeah.
Look at when Floyd was at top with De La Hoya. They always took the biggest fight available.
Mm-hmm. Agreed on that one.
But
So
Canelo,
go ahead.
But Canelo, Canelo is an elite level fighter though. I don't.
Yeah.
But Makabu, Canelo, that would be interesting. I seen Zerto talking about going to the 190 and fighting Makabu. Now that was an interesting fight to me for simple fact. Zerto's being smart because Zerto's looking at this. Because I think what a lot of fighters don't realize is Canelo has a bunch of options. Okay, and you think that you have a hell of options. The best way to get Canelo Alvarez, you're going to have to knock off the competition, bro. He has too many options. You're going to have to knock him to make it to the point where he has no choice but to fight you.
I think this might have been the most spirited conversation me and you have had so far, talking about how Andre and Charlo and guys and Benavidez need to start fighting each other to get themselves confirmed to be in line for Canelo.
That's what I'm saying. Canelo has way too many options, bro. He can literally call a 135 and then move all the way up to 160 to fight him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he can do what he wants, and people. And the thing is at least half of his fan base, and even the critics and the boxing writers are gonna support him because they at least half the people want to see the fight or they understand the fight. So, no, I absolutely agree, and that's why even the Makabu fight, I don't want to see it. There's other fights I want to see first,
But I
but
understand why he wanted
yeah,
it.
yeah,
That's been my whole
but
point. I
yeah,
understand why he
exactly. Yeah.
wants it.
Well, see, that's the thing. I understand. I just don't agree with it. You know what I'm saying? I
Facts.
understand
That's
a championship in a fifth weight class to become the first Mexican to do that. That's a big deal
and the
for
first
him. But
Mexican cruiserweight champion. I get it all the way, but like
yeah,
nobody's asking for that though.
exactly.
Nobody
Yeah,
wants to see that. I know when they first announced Canelo going to be the master, everybody looking like what?
yeah.
Cause see, look, I had a feeling Canelo was gonna go for cruiserweight, but I thought it was gonna be probably get Breeders. The Breeders offered him a title, like, you can go fight me. I'm like, oh, he might fight Breeder at cruiserweight, but Makabu was never an option I even considered.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's into technically. I mean, I got Makabu at like third or fourth at cruiserweight. So there's other better options like Bradis, like
He not
Okoli.
fighting the coach. He not
Yeah,
fighting the
he
coach.
won't fight him, but I'm just saying those are bigger fights and bigger names, so
Mm-hmm.
that also have belts. So
That,
yeah,
but
but
the Bivol fight, that's a good the Bivol fight. That's a great fight, really.
oh yeah, and we're gonna get to that one a little bit later for sure. So let me see. So the next fight, Keith Thurman, Mario Barrios, they headlined a pay-per-view back in February. Keith Thurman, pretty one-sided, 12-round decision. It was his first fight in like 2.5 years. What was your take on that one, man?
I gave it a 6. He looked it good. He did what he supposed to do, but at the same time, I seen things that was like, okay, you need maybe another fight before you start jumping back in the big dogs.
Yeah,
Cause
yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, because it's going to make the performance look bad when you went 12 rounds with a dude who Tank. People think about the Tank before he fought Barrow. He fought Santa Cruz at 130 and jumped out with 140. So you couldn't
Mhm.
like it makes me like Thurman. You couldn't knock out a dude who Tank knocked out jumping out 2 weight classes.
Yeah, well, in his defense, for a second, I agree with everything you said, but in his defense, Barrios was a guy who was sucking himself down to 140
Yeah,
to make
I've
that
seen
weight.
that
And
Barrow.
he's a more natural welterweight, which means if he was filling out his weight a little bit better, that's probably why Thurman couldn't finish
But I
him,
like,
quote
but I
unquote.
will admit though, I like Barrio because I remember watching that fight against Thurman. Thurman was connecting, and the whole he connected. He just Barrio just tell him over and over again, "I'm here. I ain't going nowhere. Let's go."
Yeah.
I,
Yo, Barrios is
and,
only like 25, bro. He's got plenty of
yeah,
time to make a
he
name
hurt.
for
He
himself.
hurt.
So, yeah.
He hurt Keith Thurman a couple times.
Oh yeah, and
Remember
hey, before Tank stopped him, bro, that fight was dead even, man. I mean,
oh
on
yeah,
on points, that was a really good fight right there. So
Floyd Mayweather had to come to Tank like, bro, you need to pick it up. You losing this
yeah,
fight. You need to pick it up. Like
yeah,
you, but I would like to see Barrios fight Rashidi Ellis next.
yeah, I think so too. But Barrios, I think for me, I think he's gonna pace it out. He's got a lot of time, so maybe like before a Rashidi Ellis fight, maybe come and get a tune-up fight, get your
I,
confidence back, go get a
I see what you're
knockout. He
saying.
lost
I
two
see what you're
straight
saying
fights,
because Barrios was
Yeah,
fighting killer after killer.
yeah, exactly. You don't
But
want
I
to
would
go.
give,
To be honest, I think Rashidi Ellis beats him, in my opinion.
but I ain't gonna lie. I would give Barrios a prop.
Yeah,
He doesn't turn nobody down.
no, he
If you
doesn't.
offer if you offer
Yeah,
Barrios the fight, Barrios gonna take the fight.
yeah, for real.
But see,
Yeah, so yeah,
Keith Thurman. This is just me. I think the best fight for Keith Thurman would be Danny Garcia. Both of them do that like similar position in their career. Where one is gonna either become a gatekeeper or retire, and the other one's gonna move on to big fight. Plus, the first fight was really close. Plus, another thing, it's the biggest payday Keith Thurman can get right now.
yeah, that's true. Because right now he's not even and unless for some crazy reason the Spence and Crawford fight doesn't happen for undisputed, then that's the only way I think Thurman becomes an option for Spence.
But see,
After that,
like I always said though, the Thurman situation that is nothing but karma. When you was
yeah,
the top dog and Bud and Errol was calling you out, you didn't even want to consider those dudes. Now you need them, and now he's telling you, I'm giving you the same energy you gave me. when I wanted to fight you, you didn't want to fight me. Now you need me more than I need you. Now you can't. Now you call me out every chance you get.
Well, in a
It's
way,
like,
I think that's good for Thurman to for this one reason. I don't think he's ready for Crawford or Spence. I agree with you. I think he needs one more fight before he can even be considered to have any of a chance against one of those two guys, man, or both of them. So,
Arrow. I think now I look at like Bud and Arrow versus Thurman. Arrow is absolutely the worst matchup for Thurman. There's a reason Thurman hates body shots and Arrow loves body shots. That's
oh yeah,
automatic.
yeah, yeah, and I think both of them are bad matchups. Honestly, I'd pick both of them to knock Thurman out. To be honest, if they fought right
Oh
now.
yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
think Thurman. I think Thurman versus Bud will be competitive the first 4 rounds, but I think after round 5 it's over. This finna turn to a beatdown.
Oh yeah,
But
big time.
Arrow, I don't think Thurman win no more than 3 rounds in versus Arrow. I
Yeah.
don't. If I if think now if Thurman wants to come back and prove he's still that dude, fight one of those young guys, Ben, Boots,
Yeah.
Ortiz, or Stanionis. If you beat them, okay, yeah, you
Yeah.
back.
Well, me and you talked about this before. He goes and beats Stanionis, then he's the WBA mandatory. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that puts him right in line. So that'd be
Now,
perfect.
now,
So,
now, I don't think Thurman is gonna go anywhere near close to Boots unless they throw Thurman a crazy amount of money, like a
oh,
crazy
absolutely,
amount
yeah.
of money.
Now, honestly, nobody wants to step in there with Boots right now, man. He's probably the most dangerous of all the young fighters right now, dude. Big time.
Yeah,
So,
it
yeah,
just like I don't think Thurman like, but the 147 got a lot of interesting things going on 147 right
yeah,
now.
absolutely. And we're gonna get to all of them too, man, because there's more of the other guys to talk about, and we're even gonna get into Boots in his next fight a little later on too.
Oh
So,
yeah,
so
what's
Daniel
the
Jacobs and John Ryder, the next one to talk about. They fought at super middleweight back in February, and
yeah?
surprisingly, John Ryder pulled off the split decision win here. Man, what'd you think about
It
that one?
was it wasn't really a robbery to me because I felt Daniel Jacob let his foot off the gas.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I always say this. I hate when people say it's a robbery when the fight was close. I look at it
Yeah,
like if the fight's close, it's not a robbery. You know, because if it's close enough to call either way, then you know it's not a robbery. So I can't
now
stand when people say that. But yeah, John Ryder just outworked him, man. That's the way
I
I thought.
think
I thought, yeah, Danny took his foot off the gas pedal, and that's what happened.
now what I like to see next for both fighters. Now they talking about John Ryder fighting Canelo. I don't want to see that now. I would rather see John Ryder. He's now in the WBA mandatory. I would like to see him fight David Morales. I think David Morales is in a position where he needs a name. I think he's right. He just need to get one of those names to fight him. But I
Well,
don't
that was
think
the fight that was trying to be worked out last year, and for some
John
reason,
Ryder,
yeah,
John
yeah,
Ryder don't want that fight, bro. Eddie
yeah.
Hearn is not trying to put John Ryder no with David Morales.
Yeah, Morel's not a big name, and he's got a big punch. And right now, that you know, even though it's for a world title, I think I agree. I think Ryder totally doesn't want it. He's terrified. I think he's searching for that big fight. And to be honest, I'm not going to be surprised if he lands that fight with Canelo in December,
I
man.
Yeah, every time I send Canelo to the UK, I think it is. For Daniel, I think they said Daniel Jacobs is gonna fight on Miguel at 154. That's not a bad fight to me. That's a pretty good fight to me. It's like you know how some fights can be a good fight, but at the same time a disappointing fight at the same exact time.
Yeah, yeah,
That's how I look at that fight. Like that's a good fight. That's a big step up for Miguel. But the fact that like you had bigger options though.
yeah, yeah,
You had
yeah.
like you had like you had like 4 title opportunities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like
and Munguia, we can roll straight into him because he's actually a couple fights away, but we can roll straight into him. You know, he TKO'd Demetrius Ballard in a fight nobody wanted to see back in February, March, and you know, now he's turning. He goes and turns down a fight with Charlo. You know, and he even turned down a mandatory to get a fight with Charlo against Carlos Adames, and
see
he passed on his WBO mandatory
see
for Boo Boo. You know, it's just it's
but see
that
the
dude
thing
is
about
just wasting
Maxillo,
it.
the Charlo fight messed up is from that fight right there, Oscar De La Hoya completely blew it. Okay,
Yeah,
what I don't see is How you okay? So both fighters done accepted all the terms, but you talking about bringing in the zone, and they haven't put a dime up for this fight. Showtime gonna put all the money up, and the zone's not putting nothing up. But they want to co-promote the fight. Nah, I don't see how you can do that.
Well, and here's where I think that De La Hoya and Golden Boy was stupid. They should have waited for the WBC to officially order the fight and then negotiated. And when negotiations didn't go their way, wait for it to go to a purse bid. And then you throw in your bid with your network and you can win the rights to the fight. And there's not a damn thing that Showtime and the PBC could do about it.
That's the thing about Monguia. It's like I see some Monguia. I see some good quality, but it's like we won't know until like the Daniel Jacobs fight was stubborn. But like, when is you gonna put Monguia in that big fight? Cause it's like Monguia already it's different from the Ryan Garcia, Virgil Ortiz situation. Those they still ride the contenders. Monguia has been a champion already in the second division, and
Bro,
you
it's been
still talking
4
about
years.
and I'm
4,
saying you still talking about he not ready. If
4
he's not
years
ready,
since he won that first world title, bro.
it's
4
like
years.
if he's not ready, you shouldn't be bringing up his name in the big name. You shouldn't even put him in title fights if you think he's not ready. What's the point you getting him in the title fight in the first place if he's not ready to fight the big names?
Well, what's the point in paying for him to be ranked by those governing bodies? Because the fighters have to pay to be ranked in those governing bodies. What's the point in paying your sanctioning fees and all that shit if you're never going to fight for the title? You
This is
know?
what I now. This is what I would like to see that do. I would like for them fight Daniel Jacobs, get that out the way, and then take the Charlo fight, man, or do something. Munguia needs to be in a big fight this year.
Yeah, and then actually, what's funny about Charlo is that's one of the few fights he was willing to take. So,
But
so
I didn't tell you. Let me tell you. This is my opinion. You know why all them guys at 160 are so willing to say I want Munguia. He to like he's the biggest pay that like get, and he looks like he's a come forward aggressive fighter who could be outboxed. As I look at it.
yeah. And to be honest, I really don't think, and this is just my opinion, this is why I'm so disappointed that he's not fighting. Um, I really don't think he's going to be that easy for anybody, to be honest.
Oh
I think
no, no,
I think he's
no.
hungry, and I guess that's what's disappointing about it is you're right. We really don't know officially, but I don't think he's going to be that easy for anybody. So get your ass in there and fight these guys, man. And he's just not doing it. So
It's just, but he should definitely be in a big fight next. Like Monguia, see, This is what I think. I think Golden Boy was putting all the eggs in that Triple G basket. Hope.
yeah, which was also stupid because everybody knew that the third fight with Canelo was coming. So
See,
that's the
that's the
thing.
thing.
Everybody's known that for what? When was the second fight back in 2018? Everybody knew the third fight was coming, bro. There really wasn't a reason for them to put all their eggs in one basket for a Triple G fight.
I don't,
I thought that was
I
stupid.
don't understand why fighters do that. I never understand why fighters put all their eggs in one basket. You see what's going on now with the Canelo thing? Like all these fighters are putting their eggs in one basket. If I
Well,
don't
the
get
thing
Canelo,
is,
I don't get nobody
I,
else.
I'll tell you why. I got the answer to that question, and it's they want to maximize their money by getting that one fight, and if they look bad in that one big fight, they could say, "Hey, I lost to the best," and it keeps their money strong going forward. But if they go in there against a guy like Munguia, where you're not going to make as much money, and say he gets his ass whipped, then your money goes down and you never got the big fight. So hey, trust me, I don't like it. I want guys that take risk. That's the only way we get great fighters. But that's the style now is avoid,
The
and
boxing,
go after that big fight, instead of risking it. And it's like, fuck that, man. Why do you think we're getting so many undisputed champions and everything the last couple of years over any other time is because people are taking risk, man, and now it's almost backfiring on guys like Charlo and Andre because now people are like, well, hey, these guys are taking risk. Why aren't you guys taking risk?
that's my
And
thing. That's my thing. Like It's another thing about it is these fighters, they don't. You got fighters now. They consider being the B side disrespectful.
Yeah, and
Like,
that's just stupid. Because if you
and
win,
this
you become the A side.
this the thing where they don't understand. When you look at the people who became the cash cow, the last 4 cash cows, Canelo, Manny, Floyd, and De La Hoya, before they were the cash cow, they had to take some really hard ass fights and had to be the B side in a lot of those hard ass fights.
Mayweather was the B side for the De La Hoya fight.
De La Hoya, before De La Hoya became the man, he had to fight Pernell, Ike Quarty,
Yeah,
Hector Camacho, JCG.
yeah,
Before Floyd was the man, he had to fight Corrales.
yeah.
Chavez, Angel Manfred. He had to fight Gotti. He had to fight Castillo. Before Manny
Well,
was the man, he had
that's what I'm saying. The great fighters take risks, bro. I mean,
before
from the first
before
day dawn of time.
before Manny was the man. Manny had to go through Barrera, Morales. He had to go through JMM. Canelo. He had to go through Trout, Lara, Mosley,
Yeah,
Cotto. They had to take hard ass fights. You got to take hard ass fights to get to become the man because you got to build up your fan base. That's how.
yeah, exactly. So
Like that's what I think.
yeah.
That's what frustrates so many people about Charlie. Like Charlie, you can really be a huge name. You got all these options. You don't want to take none of them.
Well, speaking of a guy that as we move forward, speaking of a guy that doesn't like to take a lot of chances, who also fought in February, Chris Eubank Jr. He defeated Liam Williams by unanimous decision, put him down a few times in that fight. I mean, Eubank. This is the first time he actually fought kind of a. Eubank's like this. Eubank either wants to fight A level or he's going to fight C and D level fighters and never fight a B level guy. And Liam Williams is kind of a good B level fighter, and he fought him, and Eubank whipped his ass. But Eubank said Triple G was supposed to be the guy, knowing that Triple G was supposed to fight Canelo.
This is
I don't know. Eubank is just crazy in my opinion. That fool,
this
I don't know
is
what the hell he wants to do.
this is what I want. I think what they wanted. I think what Eubank team plan is. Their plan is just keep them getting good with names with UK with big UK names before eventually get. See now, this is what I think is going to happen with Chris Eubank. I think he's going to fight somebody in the summer, and I think when Triple G vacates the WBA and the IBF belt, I think they're going to order the Eubanks versus Lara fight, since Lara is the regular champion and Eubanks is the mandatory. They probably order those two later on this year to fight for the Super WBA champion. That's a good fight too, though. That's a good fight.
Oh yeah, I love that matchup.
That's a
I
good
just
fight
want to see
also.
Eubank take it and stop talking about Canelo and Triple G right now. Another
They
guy that
talking
needs to earn it.
they talking about him fighting Kell Brook next. I don't. That's not a
Oh,
bad
I saw
fight.
that. Yeah. That's
That's
a
not a
whack ass
bad.
fight. Yeah,
That's not a
because
bad fight, but it's like it's one of those fights where it's like, what's the point?
well, that's the thing is what's the point? But also, I look at it like this: Chris Eubank has competed at 168 pounds. The most Kell Brook ever fought at was 160 against Triple G when he moved up 2 weight
And got
classes.
destroyed.
And then he just fought at 149 against Amir Khan. I mean, does anybody believe that he can move up that much weight at his age now and be competitive against even
The
Chris Eubank?
the
I just don't
only
see
way
it.
I find a Eubank Kell Brook fight interesting, it has to at least be at like 155.
Yeah, and I don't think Eubank's going to cut that much weight, dude. I just don't see it. So,
But if he's not gonna fight, if he now look, this is another thing. If he's not gonna fight on Kell Brook, I wouldn't have no problem with Chris Eubank at 160 fighting Liam Smith. He decided to move up.
yeah, that's a good, because, and it's funny you mentioned that is not only are the UK fighters, but Liam Smith's already been in the ring with Liam Williams a couple times and beat him. So that's not a bad, the common opponent right there. It's not a bad matchup. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah,
see.
that's not about Eubank. I think Eubank's another one of them people. It's like, when is you gonna take that next step? You got the
Yeah.
name, you got the skill, but when are you gonna take that next step up?
Well, the last thing I want to say about Eubank, man, is, people forget this. First off, Eubank talks a lot of shit on social media. That's all he does. But he didn't say nothing when he was ranked number 1, and then he dropped to number 2 for Charlo. He wasn't calling Charlo out for that fight. When Charlo chose Sergey Derevyanchenko, when he chose to fight him. Chris Eubank was also an option, and Eubank at the time had a co-promotional deal with the PBC. So it was an easy fight to make, but neither guy wanted to call each other out. And I couldn't understand it. I'm like, these are two of the biggest talkers in the sport, but neither guy wants to call each other out.
Nah, a Eubank Charlo fight, that's a good ass fight.
Hell yeah, I would have loved to see that fight. Those
because
are some bombs thrown.
We will finally see, okay, who's really that and who's really been the one that's just been talking.
Absolutely. So, we'll see. But all right, next up, real quick, we're going to talk about Chris Colbert and Hector Luis Garcia. They fought at super featherweight. Colbert was really a really good boxer, dude. Really good boxer. And I was surprised, but I really think Colbert overlooked Garcia big time, man.
Yeah, that fight fucked.
What was that, man? You cut out. Looks like Melly's connections went a little bad for a minute. Yeah, we talked about, like I said, we were talking about Chris Colbert and Hector Luis Garcia, and that was just, that was a tough loss for Colbert right there. He was really undefeated, highly touted, very good boxer, not a big puncher, but I really would have loved to see like maybe his skill set against Shakur Stevenson if the fight could be worked out at some point. And now just totally derailed him. Now you got Hector Luis Garcia, got the win. He might be in line to be fighting Roger Gutierrez in a mandatory fight, which probably a lot of bombs going to get thrown there. But that was a big upset for Hector Luis Garcia, and a big win right there. So we'll see what happens with that one moving forward. But if it's just going to be me for a minute, because like I said, Melly's connection got a little messed up. Hopefully he can get back in a minute. We move on to a couple more fights. Taylor and Catterall. That was a good fight. Taylor went in there, and Catterall just gave him all he could handle. Another fight. I really thought Taylor just overlooked Catterall. Overlooked him, was like, hey, he's coming off the biggest win of his career. He won the World Boxing Super Series a couple years ago, beating Prograis. Then he comes in and he pretty much has his way with Jose Ramirez, faced a little adversity, but really outboxed him and almost knocked him out. And then you have to take a fight against Catterall. It's the same thing as that happened with Teofimo Lopez and Cambosos. It was a fight he had to take, wasn't a big name guy, overlooked him, lost. Should have lost. Taylor escaped with a split decision. Now he says he'll rematch him, but it has to be at 144. I don't see why he wouldn't want to keep fighting him. Fight him again. Even if you got to give up one of your belts, go win it back. And Taylor's future plans is to go to 147 anyways. He's already been undisputed champion, so what's the big deal? But he doesn't seem interested in that, and like I said, that's disappointing right there. So let's see here. All right, there you are, Melly. Got you back there, man. So we were just talking about Taylor and Catterall. What was your take on that one, man?
I think that fight, in my opinion, that fight right there was the perfect example of how one fight can change the entire opinion of you. Because I remember before that fight, there was people that was really arguing Josh Taylor deserved to be potentially top 5 pound for pound before that fight. And now after that fight, people are wondering, like, how the hell this man even become undisputed in the first place?
Yeah.
But I look at I look at it right now. Maybe he did. I look at it right now. He probably had a bad night. I need to see his next performance before I just say, okay, maybe he wouldn't. I need just one. It just had a bad night in my opinion.
Well, and that's all good and well, but here's my thing. I think let's go back to a fight. The only fight that most people thought that Floyd ever lost, and I'm in that boat, was to Jose Luis Castillo. Well, Floyd took about a year. He took a tune-up bout in between. Then he fought Castillo a year later, and he whipped his ass. Leave no doubt. If you want to prove that you're still on that level, then fight this dude again. And go whip his ass. And then you can let everybody know, hey, I was overlooking the guy, and my bad, I had a bad night, blah, 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 blah.
That's what
But if you don't fight him again, though, people are going to have that doubt about you more and more and more until you go get your ass in there against somebody like Terrence Crawford and then get demolished. you know? So that's just my opinion on that one.
Hey, and that's another thing. That fight ruined a lot of plans
Yeah.
because the plan before that fight was Josh Taylor. You run through Catterall, and then we make the Crawford fight. Now you're like, okay, now we don't need to put him there with Crawford.
Well, but I did hear Tio came out and said that his camp is negotiating with Taylor right now for a fight at 140, man.
I
So
don't see. I don't. I take that with a grain of salt because it's not gonna be for undisputed. He got so many mandatory in order that fight. The mandatory with WBC, they not finna step aside. WBA, they not finna step aside. At
well, I don't.
best,
But that's the thing. I don't think Taylor or Lopez cares about that. I really don't, because Taylor's going to move on, and Lopez he'll gobble up those belts if he beats Taylor, and then he'll go fight those guys later and
but
take on other big
but
fights.
it's the
So
thing though. Like you said earlier though, it'll be a very bad look for Josh Taylor if you go at the 140 after you said you couldn't make it, and
oh yeah.
and you decide to fight a lightweight coming off a loss instead of Catterall. That would look terrible.
Well, a lightweight with a big name, though.
Yeah,
Let's not discount that.
yeah. Tio got
Lopez, this dude was
Tio
coming up
one
to
of the biggest names
140.
from 130 to 130, 140, but that would be a good fight too. But it would like right now today, that would be a bad look for Taylor.
I think so too. But I'll tell you this: Taylor at his best, not overlooking nobody. Honestly, I think he's the favorite going into the fight with Lopez, especially Lopez coming off
See,
that loss. So you
that's
know,
the thing. That's why, like you say, Taylor. If I was Taylor, do what I would do. If you order me for, I tell Catterall this: the belt they ordered me for, I'm gonna drop them. The belt I don't, I'm gonna keep them. We can run it back. My one last fight at 140. Just one last fight, me and you, for the remaining belt I have to prove it's proof. Was you really that good, or was I just having a bad night? End of debate.
yeah. Well, it also by fighting Cattle next, what that does is it allows Teal to move up and prove that he's solid at 140, and that makes the fight between Taylor and Teal bigger if Taylor decides to stay at 140 after that.
It's gonna be
So
interesting though who Teal fight because before he was, because what I was hearing from the rumors, his potential matchup, his first fight is not gonna be an easy fight. They talking about either Montana Love, Barboza, Ramirez, Patraza. None of those are easy fights, especially your first fight up
I'll tell
coming
you
off a
right now,
loss.
bro. I'll tell you right now, he don't want nothing to do with Montana Love in his first fight. Montana Love's a real deal.
I don't.
So
I don't
yeah,
think. I don't think they need to put him. I think Patraza would be the perfect first fight. He's a big name, a very tough fighter, coming off a loss. You can work your way up,
yeah.
But
Well, I don't think Barboza is a bad option, but I wouldn't go any past Barboza. I wouldn't fight Ramirez, and I wouldn't fight Montana Love. If you
like you
want to go
said,
after
Montana
Pedraza or
Love,
the other
that's
guy
my
or
first.
Barboza, that's cool.
Montana Love, that's like you said that. I wouldn't take Montana Love my first fight at
Absolutely
140.
not.
No, not my first. Maybe like third or fight, maybe, but like first, oh no.
Yeah, he wants to fight a dude that's going to come at him, and Montana Love can box and punch, bro. You know, he's a combination fighter,
See,
and you don't
who,
want to make that mistake.
but nah, see, Montana Love versus Gary Antoine is gonna be a banger if that fight eventually happens.
Yeah, for sure, for
Because
sure.
Gary Antoine, he is the complete opposite of his brother. His brother was a super fast. I'm gonna outbox you. Gary Antoine trying to break your fucking jaw.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and we're actually going to get into him in a couple fights. So let's keep him moving. We real quick cruiserweight fight. Lawrence Okoli and Mikael Slack, they fought in March. That was a big time top 10
I
matchup.
didn't
I know a lot of people
I
don't.
didn't really see that matchup though.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is the cruiserweight division kind of gets forgotten about, but it really is a solid division.
Yeah,
But
it's solid
oh,
division.
yeah,
Like Cruiserweight always had this problem where there was just there's never really been like you take a other than the Evander Holyfield era of the cruiserweights.
yeah.
The cruiserweight division has never really just been packed with big names.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. You know what it is there's not an American to spearhead that division.
Yeah,
Evander Holyfield was an American fighter.
that's the thing.
The last dude with a big name prior to Usyk was David Hay, but David Hay was knocking people out cold.
But
You know,
see,
so
that's the thing. I be wanting to say that in the boxing addicts group, but I don't want to tell you America like That's the same problem with the heavyweights. There aren't really any Americans in the heavyweights.
Yeah, outside of Wilder, I agree.
Like
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like to be honest, like heavyweight division is at its peak when there's a bunch of American fighters at the top. That's just what it is.
yeah, yeah. Well, Coley is a good boxer, but I was really disappointed in that fight with Sia
Who do you
Slack.
who do you
Sia
think
Slack,
who you think win between Okola? Who you think win between Okola and Breeders?
I think Okole's got the matchup for that, and Breedis has been around a while, so I think Okole would beat him.
I
But
don't know, cause
the thing about the Sia Slock fight is that was two top 10 cruiserweights going at it, and Sia Slock had given Makabu hell for the WBC title. That was his only loss, and I really thought this fight was going to be a good like back and forth fight, and it was just kind of like a boring kind of workman-like kind of decision win for Okole. So that one kind of disappointed me there, but. There is hope on the horizon. Okole's trying to unify belts. He wants Breedis. Breedis has a mandatory due in May, and then that might be a possibility, or he might go after the WBA belt. So
I seen Okola. He was talking about if he can't get the Breeders fight, he might move up and become the WBO mandatory heavyweight, and he has some good fights at heavyweight for him. I think
yeah,
him versus
I just don't know if his power carries up yet. I want to see him do a little bit more damage at cruiserweight and maybe collect all these belts or at least 3 of them, and then do it. Like wait a couple years, man. Let heavyweight weed itself out and maybe become mandatory to Usyk if Usyk it continues to be the champ. There. I mean, I think Okole could really sell
Hey,
himself
what
on
you
some
think
of these
about
DAZN undercards.
what
I
you
think he
think
could
about
really.
that? What you think about that? Josh Parker, the Joe Parker. I mean the Parker George fight they got announced.
That's a big one right there. Big one for both guys. Crossroads fight right there.
Look,
Big time.
look. I've had so many arguments with people about this. I be telling you, the heavyweight division in this era is not bad. It's just these guys are not
Good.
fighting each other.
Yeah, it's a good division. When they do fight each other, they put on great fights.
And that's the
So
thing. People be trying to say, "Oh, this is the weakest heavyweight." I'm like, no. The post, in my opinion, the post Ali. I'm gonna say the 80s might have been some of the weakest heavyweight division we've seen. You talking about in terms of like who were the top guys? I'm like, you take the end of Larry Holmes' reign and you combine it with the beginning of Tyson's reign. The heavyweight division was arguably worse than what it is now.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
I just
But
think
I really don't think it's that bad now, to be honest. I think it's really good, to be honest with you. Like
it
in terms of
it
how
just
deep the heavyweight division is, I'd say it's the second or third best division in
that's the
boxing.
thing. It just these heavyweights do not fight each other.
Yeah.
Like Andrew Reed, Louis Ortiz got it now. I'm like, I ain't gonna like heavyweight is starting to pick it up a little bit. You got Usyk versus Joshua coming up. You got Joe Joyce versus Joshua Parker. You got Luis Ortiz versus Andrew Reed coming up. There's some good fights coming up at heavyweight.
Yeah, yeah, and heavyweights have actually the division has actually come up the last 2-3 years a lot, but
Look, I
that's been
tell people this.
spearheaded by Fury and Wilder
I was just gonna
fighting
say
each
that
other.
that
So
Fury versus Wilder, that was the rivalry boxing need. That was the that is pop. I think that is the biggest. That was the first heavyweight fight people cared about since the Lennox Lewis Mike Tyson fight.
honestly, I'm going to argue one fight in there. Klitschko Joshua was
Oh
huge.
yeah, that was a huge
That
fight.
was a big
But like,
fight. So
what I mean when I say huge about like the Fury Wilder, the Fury Wilder fight, that was the first heavyweight fight I've seen in years where you had people who didn't even watch boxing were ready to see that
yeah,
fight. Like,
that's the thing is in the USA that was huge, man. And when was the last time we saw an American fighter
and
sell like that?
and that's the
So,
thing, right? And I don't be trying to make it seem like America just the top of boxing, but America is the mecca of boxing. Everybody,
it needs to be. It
America,
always needs to be.
everybody
Yeah.
knows like you're not a star in this sport until you come to America.
Well, why do you think everybody from outside of the United States wants to fight
That's
two
look,
places? They
and
want
I
to
be
fight. They want
telling
to
them
fight
this.
in New York or they want to fight in Vegas.
I be telling
You
them
know.
this. There's not one boxing legend you can name as a foreign fighter who was considered a legend that did not fight in the U.S.
Yep,
It's not
absolutely. You have
one.
to go to the U.S. You have to.
Like
So,
that's why Joe Calzaghe's legacy is so arguable. People like he was great, but he waited too long to come to America.
yeah.
But what's the next fight?
All right. Next one is Chocolatito and Martinez. I just want to talk about that one real quick.
That's a
How
that.
surprised are you that Chocolatito is just so dominant
Hey,
still?
I would. This is my opinion. I would love to see Chocolatito fight the Nonito Dorea anyway winner.
Yeah, yeah. He'd have to move up a little bit more weight for that, but yeah, that's a good one. But
But now, hey,
I'm just impressed.
what you think about a potential Chocolatito versus Bam Bam Rodriguez fight?
Honestly, I'm excited to see Chocolatito fight anybody. The fact that this guy can still bang at that level and then dominate fighters, I'm just impressed as hell
I
with him.
think
He,
Chocolatito, his
love
legacy,
watching that guy.
he's gonna be underrated because with the division he fought in.
Yeah, yeah,
Chocolatito versus Manny at that weight is a banger.
yeah, yeah,
But I would like to see Chocolatito fight on Jesse Rodriguez. I think that's a good him versus the Estrada trilogy. That would be another banger.
yeah,
But
for sure.
I would like to see Chocolatito fight Estrada, and then the winner fight Bam Bam.
Yeah,
But Jesse Rodriguez, I forgot the name of the opponent. His name is hard to pronounce. But he the dude that beat Chocolatito twice is who Jesse Rodriguez is fighting next.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm
Now,
saying.
but
It's
Jesse Rodriguez,
those big matchups right there are huge. So
he has potential to be a huge star.
yeah, yeah.
But but no, see, I can see one thing about this era of boxing. You can tell when the promoters are fully in on a fighter by the fights they're putting them in.
Yeah,
Cause like you can tell Eddie Hearn is really high on Rodriguez. He's putting Rodriguez in tough fight after tough fight.
yeah.
And I
No,
think that
I'm with you on that one, man. I love that Chocolatito's dominating still, and it's just making the smaller the lower weight classes, like more attractive to people to be watching. So, um, moving on real quick, we're gonna do the Gary Antoine Russell and Victor Postal fight, man. I mean, Gary Antoine Russell, what the way he came in and just went after a guy that's been feared the last few years and only been beaten by the best. Postal
I
has
think
lost
post.
Crawford,
I think
Taylor, and he lost to what was the last one, to Ramirez.
see what makes their performance so good is you can make a very strong argument that the Gary Antoine loss is the second loss Postal had that was a defensive loss. You can make it you won Ramirez, you make it you beat Ramirez, and you make the case the John Taylor fight could have possibly been a draw.
Yeah,
But that's a big win. I think that was the kind of win Gary Antoine needed. He's going to be a guy. Other fighters are not. He's going to have to go the mandatory route because other fighters are
well,
not going to want to fight him.
well, it's not even just going to be because people don't want to fight him. Honestly, there's not a lot of PBC guys at 140, man.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's going to be kind of tough,
All the top guys are with on top rank.
Yeah, so he definitely going to have to go the mandatory route. But if he does, man, he's got the potential to take over the division for sure. So
I think he's getting close in the WBC ranking, but the WBC ranking at 140 is loaded. You got Ramirez, Prograis, Pedro. You have to beat one of those guys to become a champ, and that's going to be
yeah,
you going to have that's those three, especially Prograis. That is a guaranteed hard now. I don't I don't see no. Can you take John Taylor out of 140? Right now, I don't see anybody beating Prograis at 140 right now.
yeah. Neither do I. I think Prograis is the best guy there. So
Yeah, I think Prograis is that guy at 140 right now. But 140, I think 140 is a loaded division. You just need some big names. Though I think it's gonna be better for that division when those dudes from 135, when the stars at 135 start moving up to that weight and start putting more eyes in that division.
yeah. Yeah, agreed. All right, well, so we'll stay with 140 right now. Ramirez and Patraza. Not too surprised by this one. I was hoping Ramirez was going to stop him when they fought, but it was a good bounce back win for Ramirez following the loss to Taylor. So I liked it, man. And Ramirez he's right back up at the top, knocking on the door of another title shot. So
Ramirez got two options right now. He can either go the WBC route and either fight, I think, the Peta, or he can go the WBO route and he can fight Pyro for the vacant belt. Patraza, I think I read somewhere Patraza, they're heathen talks to fight Richard Comey at 140 pounds sometime in the summer. That's a good fight for both. But I think Ramirez, his next fight will be a title fight, though. His next fight will be a title fight.
It should be, and I'll be honest with you. I think the fact if Taylor doesn't fight Catterall next, I think Ramirez is better matched up with Catterall because he's already fought Zepeda and he almost lost that night. And Zepeda has only gotten better since he lost to Ramirez. And I think Ramirez, if he's smart, go against Catterall because Catterall's got all that, all that wave of promotion working in his favor right now after the way he looked against Taylor. So, if Ramirez is smart, he'll do that and then maybe try to match up with Zepeda later on, in a bigger fight. But yeah, if I were Ramirez, that's what I'm doing next. And I love Pedraza and Comey because I've been saying for a couple years that I think Comey needs to move to 140 because Comey's been fighting at lightweight for the longest time, man. I remember when he fought Robert Easter Jr. years ago at lightweight, the first time he got a crack at a world title, man. So I think it's about time, and I think his power will carry up to 140 too.
It's a lot of distortion.
What was that?
And I got a lot of distortion. Can you
hear me?
Said, it was a lot of distortion coming from your side. I couldn't really hear what you're saying too much. It's a lot of it being distorted.
I think you're cutting out again, man.
Yeah, I can't really hear you. I heard what you said about the Comey part, but you said you felt 140 was probably his best division.
Yeah, I was saying that I think Comey moved to 140. I understand he was trying to look for the bigger fights at 135 that whole time, but I think he's late in coming to 140 because and not late in a bad way. I think he's ready for 140, and I'd love to see him and Pedraza there.
But see, I thought I ain't gonna see me. The fight I actually want to see, the fight I actually thought Comey was gonna go in. I thought it would have been a great fight with him versus Nakathila.
Yeah, that would have been badass. Yeah.
But him versus Patraza, that's a banger also. What's the next fight?
We're looking at Berlanga and Rolls, man. I want your opinion on Edgar Berlanga because after his last two fights, I don't know, man. I don't know if this dude is really that good or not.
This is how I look at the Berlanga. I think Berlanga, you got this extremely powerful, extremely strong, with a lot of potential, but he's so raw and he had this crazy knockout streak where he's now getting pushed to the moon. And I don't think right now he's ready for he's getting pushed to the position where he's gonna have to start getting in tough fights. And he's not ready for tough fights yet. It's kind of like it just like when you go on a 16 fight first round knockout streak, plus you got the Puerto Rican fan base behind you, you're gonna get pushed to the moon.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, I agree with that. But Caceres last year, who dropped him by the way, and then Steve Rolls, I'm like, these are dudes. I mean, these are like C-level opponents that you're getting.
Yeah, I think
they're not even one-sided decisions, bro. If he was like one-siding them, I could be like, okay, whatever. Maybe he's just he's mixing in his power and his boxing ability and stuff, But like these dudes are actually competing against them in these last couple fights, and I don't know, man.
This is what I don't like about Berlanga. He has massive power in his hands, but it's like if the knockout punch is not there, he's not swinging.
Yeah,
and it's
he
has
it for sure.
And it's kind of like Berlanga. He don't know what to do if he can't get the knockout. He's not to the point where he can box. Like if he can't get the knockout, he's basically a stationary target.
Yeah.
Like
Agreed.
he's not ready.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna fight Angulo next.
Alfredo Angulo?
Yeah, I think so. One of the Angulo brothers.
Yeah.
But what's the next fight though?
Yeah, we got Lee Wood and Michael Conlon. So we were talking about Lee Wood and Leo Santa Cruz earlier. You know, that's a mandatory fight. Lee Wood came back in this fight though against Michael
Lee
Conlon, and
Wood,
this dude is he's a grinder, man. He's a
Lee
straight
Wood
grinder.
is in a great position right now where he's the hottest guy in the division, and he has a lot of options. He has the Michael Colin rematch, potentially Josh Warrington, maybe fight Leo Santa Cruz next. Like he's in a good position right now where he has basically it's like the cards on his table. It's kind of like what do you want to do next? Not what it's not like the promoters are saying this is what you're gonna do next. They're saying, okay, what do you want to do next? It's up to you.
Well, and he's done that by doing what we said, by earning it and taking risks, because the Shukan fight, he was winning that fight by far, and he still went for the knockout and knocked the dude out in the 12th round. I thought that was impressive. Then against Conlon, he follows it up in a fight that he's behind on the cards, and he goes and knocks him the fuck out. That's impressive, dude.
But this is my opinion, though. I don't really think Eddie Hearn really wants the Leo Santa Cruz fight, only for this reason, because there is so much money in a potential Josh Warrington Lee Wood fight. See, in my opinion, this is what I think. I think the Zone and Eddie Hearn, they would rather Leo Santa Cruz vacate the WBA belt. That way, they can potentially put Lee Wood in maybe a tune-up in the summer, and when Warrington's back at the end of the year, maybe pay his IBF mandatory little stub aside fee, and let Warrington and Wood have a huge UK fight. I think maybe they're gonna do it in Leeds, or maybe they might do it in O2 Arena in London. That's a big enough fight. Especially if it's a unification fight, you can maybe put that in Wembley.
Yeah, well, the thing is one, Santa Cruz is not vacating. He's been over 3 years, and when they put the feet to the fire last year and said, "What do you want to do?" He said, "All right, I'm going to keep the title." So and also he can dominate the terms of that fight, and that's another reason why Eddie Hearn doesn't want the fight. But that's the biggest payday right now, even over a Warrington fight. Plus, Warrington's got mandatories due. So, so right now, I think, he's going to have to fight Santa Cruz, but I wouldn't fear that fight because Santa Cruz is 34 now, man. He's old. He's older, so he might be beatable. So,
if I'm Santa Cruz, I'm demanding that fight happens in the U.S. I think that'll be I think Santa Cruz, I believe that's the perfect fight for Lee Wood's U.S. debut with the momentum he has right now.
Well, and Santa Cruz will get that. He's a champion. He's the A side, and he would get it in the U.S. like he wants, and that'd be a good first fight for Wood. And I think it's a great matchup. And then again, what I like about Lee Wood is the dude's fearless. He's coming to fight. He's a straight grinder, and I love that.
Is, to make it better, this is a 50-50 fight.
Yeah, I agree.
Wood, what I like about that fight between Cruz and Wood, Cruz got that 12-round endurance, and Lee Wood got that 12-round power. So it's gonna be that's a very interesting kind of style, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think either Lee Wood gonna get a knockout, or Santa Cruz is gonna drive him with that volume. Yeah.
You cutting out again, Mel. Melly, you cutting out again.
Oh my God.
All right, man, you there?
I'm still.
Melly.
I'm still.
All right, cool. All right, so moving on, man. Chico Martinez and Josh Warrington. Speaking of that fight, man, Warrington put it on Chico in the rematch. But to the same extent, I'm not really surprised. I mean, Chico was kind of up there. I think he kind of got lucky against Kid Galahad. He caught him with a great punch.
I think now, in my opinion, I would love to see Warrington fight Lara in a trilogy, but I don't think he's going to take that fight though.
No, he don't. He doesn't want anything to do with Lara, bro. Not one thing. Nope.
Especially now that he got a belt again, he definitely not going to take that fight.
Yeah.
Because now
I don't think so either.
I feel like they're not going to. I bet the only way we see Josh Warrington versus Lara again, Lara becomes the IBF mandatory, and this is what I think Lara should do. While Warrington is out injured and know he's not back to the 11th year, Lara and his team, they need to be pushing for an IBF eliminator with the guy that's number one right now.
Oh, Lopez, yeah, I agree.
They need to be behind the scenes pushing hard for that fight.
Yeah, agreed. If Lara cannot get another title fight, I absolutely agree with that.
But if Lara can get Warrington, he is, I think, top 3 in the WBO rankings. Fight.
Yeah.
Now, him versus Navarrete, I don't care what nobody say. If he fights Navarrete, that's in my opinion, Lara and Navarrete, that is 1 and 2 at featherweight.
Yeah, I honestly, I absolutely agree with you, man. Lara, the way he was able to knock out Warrington, I'm telling you, just in the 2 rounds we saw the rematch, I saw the same thing happening. He hit Warrington just too hard in the first fight, and Warrington did not know how to handle it.
That's why Warrington started throwing all them bullshit headbutts. He was getting worked. He was beginning to get worked because it's like you can be like Warrington is more skilled than Lara, but he can't take them shots. When you can like when he hits Warrington, you can just see how his body reacts to it.
Oh man, I'm so glad to hear you say that, man, because everybody was like, "Oh, it was just an upset," and I'm like, "Nah, there's a difference between an upset and when those punches are hurting a guy, like really hurting him."
You could tell every time Lara would hit Warrington would just hurt.
He was almost flinching, bro. He was almost flinching because those punches hurt so bad.
You watch that fight. When he got later on that fight, Warrington was not trying to get hit no more.
No, he was worn down, bro. Completely worn down. Yeah.
Lara got power that would knock down lightweights.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You could see that it was. There's a difference between getting knocked out and getting beat up and then knocked out.
Down.
Yeah, exactly.
You could just tell from the first round when Lara started connecting, it was like Warrington just like this, like you know how you see 2 fighters fight and you see when the other fighter get hurt and his expression like, damn, that's a lot of power.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about Warrington. The last thing I want to say about him is I like Warrington. I think that he's a skilled fighter, but whatever he does until he fights Lara again, I'm not going to care because he can go and beat Lee Wood. He can beat whoever he wants. But until he gives Lara that 3rd fight, I'm going to be like, yeah, what about Lara? I'm just going to always say that because he got his ass whipped and he owes him that fight. That's just where I'm at with it. So anyway, moving on. Tim Du, Terrell Gaucher, man. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. Let's go through this one kind of quick, man. What did you think about that?
But
Melly, you're breaking up bad again, bro.
I can't really hear you. It's a lot of
Yeah, it's you. I think it's you, man. I think it's your thing, bro. But I can't tell. All right, you there? I think you muted yourself, bro. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna keep rolling We were talking about Tim Tszyu and Terrell Gausha for a second there. Hey, Melly, if you can hear me, man, you muted yourself, bro. So Tszyu and Gausha, just Tim Tszyu, he might not be ready, but this was Gausha's not a pushover opponent. I wanted him to stop Gausha, but Gausha is the kind of guy, he can take a punch. He's never been knocked out. He can take a punch, and he actually put Tim Tszyu down, which was a little surprising. But Tim Tszyu, just we're gonna see what he's got because he's in line. So whether he's ready or not for a title shot against Charlo, what's that?
Hey, true. You have to headphone in because I can't really hear you. You're getting distorted through my side of the phone.
I think it might be you, man. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't really hear you because through my side of the phone. You
Hello?
getting distorted a lot.
All right, Melly, I'm gonna try to add you again, bro. You there? All right, man. Well, hopefully we can get Melly back and working soon. But anyway, so we're gonna keep moving forward.
Yeah, there's a lot of distortion coming through my.
Yeah, Melly, I think it might be yours, bro, because my I turned my Wi-Fi off and everything, and it's still the same. So, all right. So, anyways, guys, we're gonna keep moving forward. Some of the other fights, if we're not, especially if we don't get Melly back, we're gonna try to just get into some of these other ones that have been taking place. So Miguel Burchell and Jeremiah Nakathila, very disappointed to see Burchell get his ass whipped like that against Jeremiah Nakathila. Nakathila is a good fighter, and honestly, I think that was a mistake opponent for Burchell's first fight up at 135, man. Because he's Burchell really got his ass whipped against Oscar Valdez.
You talking about the
Melly, you back?
Yeah, I'm back. You talking about the Burchell Nakathila fight?
Yeah. I was just talking about how I'm disappointed that Burchell took a guy like Nakathila after getting his ass whipped the way he did against Valdez.
See, that's the thing, though. They didn't think Nakathila was gonna do what he did.
Yeah.
They look at
and what's his name just had a lot of after effects from the fight with Valdez, and I don't think he was expecting that either.
But see, the thing is, Shakur said it when he fought. Shakur said, "But Nakathila hits a lot harder than what people hit. Is a hard hitter. That's why he want to get hit by him." And Burchell was just walking straight into those shots.
Oh yeah, big time.
And it's like, but this is like I said about Burchell. Burchell had two options. You need Burchell. You need a long layoff, and when you come back, you need a very easy fight. He need at least 3 confidence builders.
Yeah.
Now, but Nakathila, he needs to be. I would like, who I'd like to see Nakathila fight next?
Who's that?
I would love to see Nakathila versus Nakatani.
Oh yeah, that'd be all out war right there, man.
Yeah. See, I think Nakathila is going to be a hard fight for anybody at 147. Now, he can be outboxed. Shakur showed that. But for the people that like to come forward, oh yeah, that's going to be a hard fight. He got thumped.
Yeah, definitely.
He got that power. When you get hit by him, you ain't not trying to get hit no more.
Yeah, and he's got a lot working for him right now, stopping a guy on the level of Burchell. So now's the time to get a good fight.
The only problem I have with the Nakathila fight was after the fight. Because I'm one of those fans, I look at when you come off a huge win like that, you should go on the mic and you should just call out everybody. You shouldn't saying I want the top guys in boxing is not enough. You need to say names.
Yeah. I agree.
I feel like a lot of fighters, they don't understand how important the mic is Mike is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think it's a lot of those foreign fighters more that don't get it. You know, I mean, that they got to get out there and sell themselves a little bit with,
That's what I'm saying. Cause like
yeah.
you're the only way you're gonna make the money you want and the fights you want. You gotta have the fans and the media calling for you to get these fights.
Yeah, but the cool thing
Like,
about Nakathila fighting at 135 with Top Rank is he's going to get opponents, bro. That's one thing I can guarantee
oh
you
yeah,
to sell himself some more. So hopefully
ooh,
it is
you
against
know
one of
what it
those big
did?
guys.
You know, I wouldn't have no problem with Nakathila being Lomachenko's return fight. If Lomachenko said, I want to come back and, I'm coming from the Ukraine. I just want to come back, get a little rust off.
Well,
Nakathila
yeah,
would be a
because
great first fight.
yeah, well, if he fights in the second half of this year, he's going to have to fight somebody while he's waiting around for the rematch with Haney
I
and
think
Cambosos. So
Nakathila, after that huge win, I think he needs to be pushed. Him versus Nakatani is what I think would be the perfect next fight.
yeah.
But what's the next fight though?
All right, next one is we're going to discuss the two fights from April 9th, I believe it was. And first, Tony Harrison's dominant decision over Sergio Garcia. I was very surprised by that, man. I'm just going to
Tony
say.
Harrison. Tony Harrison is the top 150. Now, who would I like to see? I would like to see Tony Harrison fight Fundora next.
I actually think that's the fight that's going to happen next because the winner of Charlo Castaño is not going to fight Fundora. They just don't want none of that. And Tony Harrison is a former champ. He's a name. And he dominated Garcia where Fundora didn't beat Garcia by that much back in
That's
December. So
it was some good fight April. Now you had the Tony Harrison fight, you had the Lubin fight, you had the Triple G fight, the Ryan Garcia. April 9th was a good night for boxing.
yeah, it was. And speaking of Fundora and Lubin, man, disappointed that Lubin lost that one because he was ahead on the cards and he had just knocked Fundora down a couple rounds before. But man, those uppercuts because Fundora is so tall, just finally got him.
Fundora is one of the most. He is one of the most exciting, but also one of the most frustrating fighters to watch.
Yeah.
Why I say frustrating because he don't use that height and reach at all.
Not at all. That dude would outbox everybody if he did.
Like Lubin, I mean say Fundora. Fundora is gonna fuck around and lose a fight with the style he's fighting.
Oh
Like
yeah, he's gonna
you
get
have
knocked out. He's gonna get knocked out cold. Yeah.
you got the like you said, bro. Fundora, if that man ever gets the hang of outboxing opponents, he's gonna beat everybody at 154. If he can get the hang of just outboxing people, man, he'll beat everybody. Cause how you gonna get close to him?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I totally agree.
He leaves himself like you have 80 inches of reach. Why are you fighting in a telephone booth?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't make sense to me either, man. But Lubin, though, disappointing that Lubin, took a loss and got beat up the way he did because he's going to be out a while. But you know what's good is Lubin, we all know, is a very good fighter, and he'll be back. He's young still, so just disappointed to get to see him get beat up that way because that really wasn't him when he got knocked out against Charlo, bro. Charlo caught him with a perfect punch.
That just would happen. That would happen when a power puncher hits you with a perfectly timed shot.
Oh yeah,
that you would not expecting at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But what's the next fight that?
All right. So next up, we'll talk about Ryan Garcia and Emmanuel Tago. Not much to talk about. I think some people were disappointed he didn't stop Tago, but Tago, I mean, that dude is he lost his first pro fight and then he won 31 straight. This dude wasn't straight pushover.
Ryan Garcia gets a lot of the blame, but at the same time, after he knocked Togo down the first time, Togo just did not want to get hit no more.
Yeah.
But Ryan Garcia, like I tell you, I'm in the minority here, but I actually like Ryan Garcia. I just think his social media just hurts him. I've seen him post earlier. He's supposed to be coming back July 16th. I'm interested to see who he's gonna fight. I think, in my opinion, Pitbull, Jojo Diaz, or Fortuna is the three who I want to see him fight next.
Yeah.
But I think if But I'm be if he now everybody thinks he's not now. If he takes the out of the Cruz fight and he fucks around and knock Pitbull out, the amount people are gonna go crazy.
He needs a knockout against a top 10 opponent.
Yeah,
People are going to go nuts.
If he fights Fortuna, Diaz, or Pitbull and gets a knockout, yeah. See, Ryan Garcia, in my opinion, other than Tank Davis, he has the most natural mix of speed and power.
Yep.
Like he's now, and another thing, people want to try to downplay this. Ryan Garcia is a fucking star. This man sold out an arena with a guy nobody even heard of before.
Yeah.
He sold out that whole arena basically by himself.
Well, he's got everything working for him. He talks well. He's got that kind of that good looking face that De La Hoya
I think
had.
with Ryan Garcia is this. I think people want to see more from him in the ring standpoint, but from he is one of the few boxers who has completely mastered how to market themselves.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say is, the one thing I worry about is, does he have the head for it though? Can he handle the pressure of all that? You know, and if he can, the dude's going to be a superstar straight up. So yeah.
Ew.
So
Ew. See,
yeah. So
Ryan, I've told people this, and I understand by this statement. I'm not talking about what fight. I'm not listening. I'm going to say, listen carefully. I'm not saying what fight is better for rankings or titles and all that. I'm talking about in terms of fan anticipation, storyline, and debate. Ryan Garcia versus Tank Davis is a way bigger fight than Gamboa versus Haney. That's just a fact.
oh yeah.
I'm not saying which fight is more important. I'm talking about what fight is bigger. And we talking about bigger, Ryan Garcia, Tank Davis is running laps around Gamboa versus Haney.
Yeah, I agree.
But
so anyway, next up. Next up, we're going to go to Triple G and Ryota Murata, man. That unification bout. I mean, were you surprised at all at Triple G stopping Murata the way he did?
Not really. This is what I kind of think about that fight was. I think people try to like downplay it, but like in my opinion, Triple G was 40 years old. I like to put it into context. The man is 40 years old, came off a near 2-year layoff, went to another champion's backyard, had trouble in the beginning, KO'd him, and just became the third boxer in the 100+ year hero boxing to be a unified champ at 40+ alongside B-Hop and Thurman. That's great to me.
Yeah.
But what did I see from him though? From what I've seen, the chin, the power, and the jab is still there. But the reflexes and the timing was kind of off. But when Triple G started landing them bombs, Murata legs kind of noodles.
Yeah.
He got that, like, Triple G still got that power that ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, well, that's the one thing that never leaves a fighter is his power. But
I think the thing about him versus Canelo, here's the thing though. Now, I think with making the Triple G Canelo fight, I think kind of downplaying the hype is the fact a lot of people don't think Triple G has a chance in Canelo, but in terms of Triple G versus Canelo, undisputed in Mexico, that is huge. But I don't think Triple G beats Canelo Alvarez at all. And here's the thing though about the Triple G Canelo thing. Canelo, in my opinion, I think he beat Triple G the second fight. the first fight I had Triple G winning the first fight. I had Canelo winning the second fight. I think the third fight Canelo is going to win, but I think the third fight is going to be the most least competitive of the three.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the reason why is, Triple G, his great. Or let me put it like this: his good is better than most people's great, and even at 40, he can beat a lot of top level guys. But Canelo's in his absolute prime right now, and it's going to be competitive for a while, but Canelo's going to get him. Triple G looked good against Murata, and people don't give him enough credit, but Murata was a 2012 Olympic gold medalist, man. He's got to get a little bit more credit.
And it's the thing. I've always said this about Triple G. I've always felt when Triple G retires, he's going to have a complicated legacy because in his prime, 2012 to 2017, guys were not trying to fight him. Felix Thurman didn't want to fight him. Cotto didn't want to fight him. Martinez didn't want to fight him. Eubank didn't want to fight him. Like when he was in his prime years, none of the big names really wanted to fight him.
But the difference between him and guys like Charlo and Boo Boo is this dude kept fighting and he kept laying people out, and not bad fighters either. They weren't bad fighters though. They weren't name fighters, but they were former champs and solid fighters.
That's the thing, right? Even when he was being avoided by all the big names, the only two people that were willing to fight him was Andre Ward and Lara. But at the same time, when Triple G was getting avoided by everybody at 150, he still beat Gabriel Rosado. He still beat David Lemieux to unify. He still beat Kell Brook in his backyard. He still beat Daniel Jacob when Daniel Jacob was considered the third best middleweight in the world behind him and Canelo. He did those things. And
another guy nobody likes to mention, but his win over what was it? It wasn't. Well, he beat Matthew Macklin. What was the other guy's name?
I think Daniel Gill.
Yeah, he dominated Daniel Gill, but there was one other guy that took him 11 rounds and he stopped him. Martin Murray. Martin Murray was a good, solid middleweight. So that's what I'm saying. I think he's a Hall of Famer just because of all that.
Triple G is the best middleweight in the 20th century since Bernard Hopkins. Yeah. Whether you like him or not.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that I've always felt. Triple G was not getting called out the way he's getting called out now, where you see down to the whole middleweight division calling him out until after the Derevyanchenko fight. That's when the entire division when everybody was like, okay, I want to fight Triple G now.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not saying Boo Boo and Charlo didn't call out Triple G before, but I'm saying after that Derevyanchenko fight was when everybody turned into a different level of calling. Everybody wanted Triple G after that fight.
Yeah, well, what people don't know is he also he had the flu that day when he went in there against Derevyanchenko.
Yeah. So, and Derevyanchenko won. I always looked at Derevyanchenko. If the Sean Porter middleweight, you're guaranteed to have a hard fight with him.
Yeah, well, he's a solid fighter, but him and Daniel Jacobs overlooked Derevyanchenko. Charlo knew what he was getting into by the time they got to that. So that's why when people say, "Oh, well, Charlo's better because of the way he handled Derevyanchenko better," it's like, no, he knew what he was getting to. Triple G and Daniel Jacobs were just trying to collect the belt, and they were totally overlooking him. So,
what's the next fight?
We're gonna go with the Spence and Ugas card first, but I'm just gonna talk about the undercard real quick. Crawley and Lopez. Cody Crawley, what do you think? You think the guy's going to be anything special? Or, I'm not surprised he beat Lopez, but he's decent.
This is what I'm going to say about Cody Crawley. From what I've seen. I'm not going to say, I would be, maybe he can sneak a title reign in there something, but I think he's going to be one of those guys. He's going to be around at 147.
Yeah.
Like, he's going to be one of those guys he's going to be one of those guys, like, he's going to be a perennial top 10 welterweight. I'm putting it like that.
Yeah, top 10, yes. I don't think he's strong enough to beat the other.
I don't think he's going to beat Boots. I don't think he beat Boots or Virgil or maybe even Ben or Ellis, but we talking about like the top 10, I think he's gonna always be in that discussion.
Yeah, he's definitely part of the next generation. I just don't think he beats those guys, and I think the reason is he's a good boxer, but I don't think he has the power. I just don't think he has the power to keep those guys off.
Cody Crowd, he likes to outwork you.
Yeah.
I would like to see. I think a great fight for Cody Crowder. I would like to see Cody Crowder fight maybe Burchell.
Yeah, not a bad fight. What do
you think about the El Rayo fight?
Which one was that?
He fought on Francisco Vargas, I think.
Oh yeah, he destroyed him in one round. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to take from that, man, because Vargas is just way past it, bro. So
El Rayo is going to be around, but he's not ready to. I don't think he's at the point where we should be bringing him up with the Camboso, the Haney, the Tank.
No, definitely not. Honestly, I don't even think he's top 10, bro. I don't even think he's top 10 because
not yet. I don't think, but I will admit though, 135 got some young guys coming up. The Frank Martin, the Frank Martin, El Rayo, what his name? The Dominican Ali. Like, it's some good fighters coming. What you think about the Ivy Cruz, your girl Gamboa?
I mean, I'm happy Cruz finished him because that really is going to build Cruz's resume some more. So not really surprised. But the knockout was brutal. That final combination was brutal. So
I think his thing is a great win for his resume. He put a great performance on, but it don't really tell us a lot about you.
No, but it's a good bounce back fight from the Tank fight,
Yeah,
so he needed a performance like that, on a big card, and he got it. So,
what you thought about the Stanionis Burchell fight?
Oh, Stanionis and Butayev, that was a really good fight, man. I thought it was closer than the judges scored it, but Stanionis, man, I picked him to win, and he boxed. He looked good.
I think Stanionis, he's going to be a champion eventually at some point, 147. I think he's going to be one of those guys. Like I said about Crowder, he's going to be in that top 10 range. He's one of those guys. He's going to be a hard fight for whoever you have to fight.
Yeah, I think he's better than Crawley because he has a good mix of the power and the boxing ability.
I think
So.
I would like to see Stanionis fight. I think he might get the Keith Thurman fight next. I think he's going to be. I think he might be the one who gets that. And Stanionis can beat. I think Stanionis can probably. Stanionis has a good chance to probably could potentially beat. Now if Stanionis can beat Keith Thurman, he will become a star overnight.
Oh, big time! Yeah, he'll be right there. He'll be right there, and he could argue with the winner of Crawford and Spence. He could say, "Hey, fight me before you guys move up to 154."
You see how really nobody's really talking about him. I'm telling you, he fucks around and beat Keith Thurman, and then get elevated to maybe super champion. He's going to be he's going to get like Stanionis is going to be in some big fights.
Well, yeah, and what's working for Stanionis, even if he doesn't get the winner of Spence and Crawford, is
he gets elevated to become champion.
Well, but what I'm saying is he's with the PBC, so he's got a lot of options, and that's the best thing.
And that's the thing about I don't see why fighters do that. Like, it's in my opinion, you sign. This is my opinion. When you call the fighters may sign with a promoter, sign with the promoter who has the top guys in the weight you're in.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That way you don't have to deal with all across the street bullshit.
Yeah.
Just like all that bull. Like, sign with the promoter where you know all the big fights are at.
But here's my argument to that though, because I do have to knock one of the things I have to knock the PBC about is if they cannot be the A side, they are not willing to work with anybody else. And I don't like that shit.
I think.
Yeah. They want to dominate the fight, and sometimes they're not the A side.
But the thing, I think that's really a problem with boxing in general when it comes to co-promotion. Unless, like you said, either they're the A side in promoting, or this is a fight that's so damn big you have to make it.
Yeah.
But what you think about now? Errol Spence versus Ugas,
dominant.
That was masterful.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
What I didn't like about it is not the fight. It's the narrative switching that happened after the fight. Before that fight, people were saying Ugas was the third best welterweight. This is going to be a hard fight. He could potentially beat Arrow. And then as soon as Arrow runs through him, now all of a sudden, Ugas wasn't that good, man. He wasn't that good. What?
Yeah.
Like, that's, in my opinion, that is why a lot of fighters do not have quote-unquote good resumes, because every time they get a big win, people try to do something to make that win seem like it just wasn't that impressive.
Well, I'm going to argue based on unifying the belts and the fact that he stopped them, that might have been the biggest win of his career.
And that's the thing, and this is what I love about Errol Spence. This is what really made Errol Spence that guy to me. He does not take tune-ups.
Yeah.
When Errol Spence Jr. is healthy, he comes like the man got threw out of a car, came back a year later and went straight into Danny Garcia.
And
Injured his eye, came right back after another year and went straight into Ugas in a unification fight. Like, this man is coming back from injuries, going into probably some of the hardest fight you can take off an injury. And it's a serious injury. It's not just no these serious career-threatening injuries. He's coming back going straight into top-level competition. And he's dominating them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing is Arrow and Bud has to happen now, because there's no other time for it to happen. I mean, Bud is a promotional free agent. He's a promotional free agent, and they got to make the fight. They have to make the fight,
bro. Like you said, bro, Bud and Arrow, this is lit. There will never, ever, ever be a more perfect time for that fight. That both you guys are undefeated. Both of you guys are coming off knockout win over a top 5 competition in your division. But Bud isn't a promoted free agent right now. This is the perfect time for this fight to happen.
Yep. And the governing bodies of all the belts that have mandatories they're willing to step aside to allow this fight to happen. Even Stanionis came in and said, I'm willing to step aside.
I think this should be the first boxing fight that they put in Raider Stadium.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
That fight, that's why I think UFC and boxing. Okay, I will admit to you, I am more of a UFC guy, even though I love boxing. But I think both of them, neither have, boxing and UFC. They want to go to Raider Stadium in Las Vegas, but you need a mega fight to go there though. And Bud Arrow can you imagine Bud Arrow in the Raider Stadium?
I'm a Raider fan, bro. That'd be great. So,
and I think I ain't gonna lie. If they make that fight happen at the PBC, they need to stack the undercard. We need title fight on the undercard.
That's the best part of a matchup like that. Is guys are going to be willing to fight on the undercard because it's like a main event.
That's one thing I felt that has helped the UFC kind of beat boxing. The UFC, they put on a card. You're getting mega fights on the undercard.
Yeah,
like you're getting main event worthy fights down the whole card. And it's like another thing is when they UFC have a pay-per-view card coming up, they give every fight the right amount of promotion on the main card.
Yeah,
I think that's something that hurt boxing. Like you got this mega fight. I think perfect example. Look at Canelo Bivol fight. That's a mega fight, but you can undercard who is these dudes?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. They got the PBC always does a good job of stacking the undercard, so I don't think we got to worry about that.
Errol Spence, though, but like you said, bro, there will never ever be a more better time for that fight than right now.
Gotta happen. Let's hope it does, man. Let's hope by the next podcast we do that we're talking about negotiations going on.
What I don't want them to take back. This fight needs to happen at least August, early September. They're talking about October, November. There is no way they should wait that long to start making.
It shouldn't, because you know what? Errol Spence didn't really have that hard of a time with Ugas, so why should he need more than 4 or 5 months to be ready? So
that's gonna be a fight. What's the next fight?
Well, the last one of the past fights is Fury and Tyson Fury and Dillian White. That's the last one we're going to
That
talk
fight
about.
right
And,
there, man.
yeah, I mean, Tyson Fury, not surprised that he knocked him out, but I don't like that Dillian White's not getting the respect that he deserves.
This is, I think,
Dillian White for 3 years, man, built up himself and beat some good fighters, and he got a
I
great
think
look too.
this is the
So,
thing. I think this would make the Dillian White thing look bad. It's like you didn't want to promote, you bullshit about the money to crunch your last minute, and then this what you do. Now you follow a Hall of Fame level fighter. That's just what it is. I mean, Dillian White, he's still going to be in big fights. Fury, on the other hand, in my opinion, it will hurt his legacy if he retires without fighting the winner of Usyk versus Fury. Usyk
oh,
versus
bro,
Johnson. Like,
well, let's go back to a dude let's go back to a great heavyweight, Lennox Lewis. I honestly think the fact that he did not fight Vitaly Klitschko again hurt his legacy, man. And I love Lennox Lewis,
and
but he owed Klitschko
this
that
is
rematch, man.
not. This is the thing, like, they starting the Fury dope talk. I tell you, this is my opinion on it. This is my opinion how I feel about it. I think you're talking about resume and accomplishment. Okay, Fury's not going to be in the top 10. But we're talking about stylistic matchups. There is not a lot of argument that can beat him in a matchup stylistically.
Yeah.
Shit, like, I think that's what a lot of fans don't understand. I think he can beat him. I'm not talking about he's better than him all out, like, in terms of compliment and revenue. I'm talking about stylistically. I don't see, like, in my opinion, Ali, Holmes, Lennox Lewis, Riddick Bowe. I think Evander Holyfield, Joe Frazier. I think those guys can beat him out there. I think they have a lot of all time, but he can also beat. Like, people in LA, Fury just can beat anybody.
Yeah.
Like, I like, in terms of the heavyweight gold conversation, I had an argument with a person the other day. They were trying to argue that Rocky Marciano was the heavyweight GOAT. I was just telling them, like, what argument does he have to be the heavyweight GOAT other than retiring undefeated?
Yeah, I mean, he only fought in 7 world title fights.
That's the thing,
You
like,
know?
in his 49 fights, he only fought 4 top fighters, and that was
Yeah,
Joe Louis, who everybody knows was the end of his career, coming back
and that was not a title fight either. That wasn't a title fight.
and everybody knew Joe Louis was only coming back to pay the IRS off.
Yeah,
and it's like, but I would put Rocky Marciano in my top 10, but like I said, he's number 10. Like, there is no metric that you're gonna convince me that Marciano is better than Ali, Lennox Lewis, prime Joe Louis, Tyson. It's just Tyson's. Like, it's just too many all-time greats. I feel who would beat him. And I do think that's something he would also beat. But let's talk about the upcoming fights.
yes, let's do that. So this Saturday, May 7th, and we're going to give our predictions on these ones too. Canelo and Bivol, man, I'm excited. I think it's a great match.
I got Canelo by unanimous decision. I think Bivol is a very good boxer, but I think he don't have. I just don't think he has the inside game. I think he can keep Canelo at bay, but I just don't think when Canelo gets in that close range, those body shots, I don't think Bivol is going to respond right to them.
Yeah. I don't think Bivol's going in there and getting knocked out by any means. He's got a good chin. He's a big guy. He's a great boxer. But Canelo just he figures you out. He walks you down and he figures you out.
I think
And
Canelo, he beat Bivol. That would be a great name on his resume.
oh, absolutely.
This is what I didn't like about the Bivol. This is what I didn't like about it, right? You mean to tell me for the last 3 years, people have sworn to God Canelo was ducking Bivol, and as soon as he said I'm gonna fight Bivol, now he's cherry picking Bivol. Now you're taking the easier fight. I'm like, bro, you guys were literally just saying 2 days ago he was ducking. Literally 2 days ago he said he was ducking Bivol. Now he's cherry picking Bivol.
oh, well, especially when you're sitting at the top, you're going to have, no matter what you do, people are going to have a problem with it. So, yeah, I got Canelo by unanimous decision as well.
I think the
I
one
think if
thing.
anybody knocks out anybody, Canelo will be knocking out Bivol, but I don't think Bivol's knocking out Canelo. Yeah.
What's the next fight after that?
On the 11th, Maris Bredas, who we don't talk about it, but he's the number one. He's the number one cruiserweight in the world. He's fighting this Jai Opatai. It's his mandatory. I think he beats that guy and hopefully punches a ticket with Lawrence Okoli. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Hey, what you
So,
think about May 14th though? Cause the
it'll be
Castano Charlo
good.
fight.
Gonna be good, man. I can't wait for that fight. The first fight was really good.
The first fight.
What I liked about it was that he hurt Castano early, and then Castano, I felt, took all the middle rounds, and then Charlo came alive in the 10th, 11th, and 12th and just totally took those rounds, and it was a close-ass fight. I had Castano winning a close fight, but I can't wait for the rematch. I think it's going to be good.
This is how I view it. When the fight was in the middle of the ring, Charlo was winning. Against the ropes, Castano was winning. It just comes down to who can keep the fight where they wanted it. It can Charlo keep it in the middle, and can Castano keep it against the ropes.
I just think Castano if he plays a little bit, if he plays defense a little bit better, I think he'll get the decision to go his way because a lot of people thought he won the fight. A lot of people thought he won.
I got Charlo by a competitive UD though. Now this another thing though. The winner of this fight is pound for pound, and I think if Charlo wins, he's going to have a serious argument for top 5. When you look at he became undisputed in a tough division, and then you look at who he had to beat to become undisputed. And that's the thing, and that's another thing, right? I don't like the fact that Jermell is underrated because people put more focus on to his Canelo chasing brother. When the whole time Mel is doing everything Maul claims he wants to do.
Yeah, well, one thing at a time. So Castano, I got him winning the fight. I thought he won the first fight. It's going to be it's going to be a good one, but I think he's going to get him. But it could go either way. I think it's close to being a 50-50 fight.
I got Charlo in a competitive.
Yeah, it's a 50-50 type fight, and I really think it could go either way, and I'm excited for it.
You think about the co-main event,
yeah, that's Boots against Clayton, man. I think Boots is going to knock Clayton out. That's what I think is going to happen.
If Boots manages to win that fight, I want to see Boots in the fight keep Thurman. I think that's the fight that needs to happen.
Thurman ain't going to fight Boots. I'll tell you that right now. Thurman ain't going to
fight Boots, but I think Boots in a position where Boots needs to get put in there with a name.
Yeah.
Like,
and my boy Box Fans is commenting. He said he thinks Charlo will avoid Sebastian, like we said, and yeah, I mean, he's already said. Charlo already said he's not going to fight Fundora, so that's just not going to happen. So
we didn't discuss it though. We thought about the Conor Benn fight.
Conor Benn, I wasn't surprised. I mean, he knocked out a dude he should have knocked out. So I wasn't surprised. He looked good, man. So
this is, in my opinion, the guys who I would like to see Conor Benn fight next is Kell Brook, David Evanson. I would like the Mikey Garcia fight, him maybe fighting Broner or him fighting Alexis Rocha. Don't go to 5 who I want to see him fight next.
The last 3 you said, I don't think he's going to fight him. I think it's going to be Brook or Avanesian, and I think he knocks both of those guys out. To be honest, so we'll see what happens.
Like, tell me how you feel about this comparison. Conor Benn is the Ryan Garcia welterweight. Very talented, is a huge star, but people have to. He's one of those guys a lot of fans don't like, and the fans like. I'm gonna tell you like this: he is the most polarizing young prospect at 147. They're like Ryan Garcia is the most polarizing at 135. Like you like him or you.
I think Virgil Ortiz is a bigger star than Conor Benn.
Of course. I think right now, but I think with Conor Benn, it's like the people want like we're ready for the step up. So we see he's running through the journeyman. We want to
Yeah.
see him in a step up fight.
What sucks for Connor Ben though is he doesn't have the opponent selection fighting for Matchroom and Eddie Hearn.
Hey, what
But
you think
that's going to
about
be tough.
what you think about the May 21st fights?
Well, real quick, still on the 14th, Kovalev and Pulev. Kovalev's coming back. I
Ooh,
mean, Kovalev's debuting at cruiserweight. Hopefully, he doesn't get hurt, man. Hopefully,
that
he doesn't
fight
get hurt.
really doesn't really get interest me too much unless he's finna fight maybe.
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't for me either. But I'm just throwing it out there, letting everybody know. And then also, Gilberto Ramirez is fighting Dominic Boazel on DAZN on the 14th as well. I think Ramirez is going to get him out of there, but
Serrano, he's another one of those guys. I think we're ready to see the step. But I would like to see him. I would like to see him fight on. Let me see. What's the guy name? I wouldn't have no problem with Zerto. I think Zerto needs to get in there with a big name next.
yeah, he does. He does. I've been saying that for a few years now. It's like, hey, I think he's talented, but he's got to fight somebody good. So
I would love to see him with Callum Smith next.
yeah, I think that's a great matchup. So
Hey, what you think about What you think about David Lemieux, Benavidez?
I can't wait for that fight. I think Benavidez is going to knock Lemieux out, but I think Lemieux's got that one punch type power that he can finish it at any moment. So we'll see.
I think it's gonna be a good fight. I think Benavidez, if he wins, he needs to get on that mic. He needs to say, "Look, I want Canelo, Boo Boo, Charlo, Plant, or Morrell next. Nobody else. One of those five."
Yeah. Well,
But
I think he needs to. If it's not Canelo, he needs to focus on the Boo Boo fight, and hopefully Andre actually wants to fight. So
Andre's gonna fight Zach Parker in the UK. That's a interesting fight. I think I got Boo Boo winning that fight. In my opinion, I think Boo Boo is going to make a statement. And here's the thing, though, like, okay, Boo Boo has this boogeyman label, and this is my only problem. Okay, I agree. Canelo, I agree. You can say Canelo, Charlo, Mongolia, and Charlo avoiding. Okay, I get that. But there is no way you're finna convince me that you are so avoided that in 10 years in two weight classes you have yet to fight one name.
yeah, I agree.
That is, you're not finna convince me you're that avoided. You
Yeah,
haven't fought one name, like not one.
yeah,
And you came to you had the Charlo fight, you pulled out through the money. You had the Derevyanchenko fight. You turned that fight down. You said you wouldn't have enough time to train, but you had like what I think 7-8 weeks to prepare for that fight, and you didn't
yeah,
really express. You didn't really. In Laura of the fight, you said you wanted, but at the same time you also said you really didn't really interest you in because he was a boring style. Like Boo Boo, you've had opportunity to get big fights. Like that's what I was trying to tell you. Like, okay, yeah, you can say Boo Boo was avoided, but Boo Boo had opportunity to get big fights. Like people like to make it seem like Boo Boo just has never been given any opportunity. Boo Boo had opportunities.
Well, and the thing is if you're avoided because you're so good, that's one thing. I think Boo Boo's avoided because his style is boring. He
Yeah,
goes in there and he boxes, and then right after he realizes he's not going to knock the guy out, he takes his foot off the gas pedal and just coasts the
this
rest
the
of the
thing
fight.
about
Nobody
Boo
wants to
Boo.
see decision after decision after
I
decision.
look
Nobody
at Boo
wants to
Boo,
see that.
bro, and I think being a draw, it do hurt. Like, bro, you couldn't even sell out your hometown.
Yeah,
Like, I get fans want to see the like, bro, like that's not that's not an attractive. You getting decision every time. That's not boring. Plus, like another thing, other fighters, man, they don't care if you're boring if you putting in the numbers,
hmm
bro. Like I said, you couldn't even sell out in your hometown. That looks terrible when you trying to get other fighters to want to fight you.
yeah,
And then look at it like Boo Boo. Look at one like I look at it like this. Like true.
yeah.
Here's the thing, right? Answer the question for me, yes or no. Have you ever seen Boo Boo Andre call out any contenders?
No, No, I mean he'll pick and choose his moments. He's been doing that. He'll say,
This is
he'll say, hold on. He'll say, I want to fight Munguia, and then Munguia's there, and then you don't hear him say it anymore.
this is the
You
thing
know, he
about
just goes back and
Boogie.
forth, man. You know,
Munguia is the only contender he's ever called out, and that's only because Munguia give him the biggest payday.
yeah.
Like from 154, you had Tony Harrison, you had Tony Harrison, you had J Rock, you had Jared Hurd, you had Arias Larry Laura, you had Austin Trout, you had all these guys. You never once mentioned those guys' names.
Well,
Everyone fits.
his goal is now is Canelo, right? Okay, so what I am respecting is that he's doing one better than Charlo.
Oh
Charlo's
yeah.
calling out a guy. Hold on. Charlo's calling out a guy that's in a division above him, but he's not willing to go fight in that division. Well, Andre is. Andre's actually doing it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see.
See, what Andre needs, in my opinion, he needs to make a statement performance. And just like I said with Boom, just like I said with Benavidez, he needs to get on that mic and he needs to call out. Don't just get on that mic just saying that. This is Boo problem. He gets on the mic after the fight and just calls out one name, Canelo. No, bro. You need to mention everybody.
Yeah.
You can't keep getting on the mic after every fight and just saying one name. Oh, give me Canelo, bro. Everybody wants Canelo.
Well,
Bro,
if he really wants Canelo and he knows that this year is tied up for Canelo, he needs to go fight Benavidez after if he beats Parker. He needs to go
that's what
fight him.
I think.
So,
That's I think that should be the fight he should be trying to get.
yeah,
But
and that'll show me if he really wants it. So,
I think
no.
Teddy Farm and Mickey Bay happened the same day.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Honestly, man, it's been a minute since those guys have been in the ring, so they got to come out and they got to show out to
I think
impress
that's
anyone.
right there. I think if Teddy Farmer can win, he's going to be in some big fights at 135.
Yeah, yeah.
If
I mean, he can be. You know, it's just he's got to stay active, man. I mean, it's been over 2 years
and
since he
that's the
fought.
thing,
You
right?
know,
And
so
like that's the thing. It's like you just gotta know. You just gotta know how to work your way through this box. Like I think if Tevin Farmer was able to beat him, I wouldn't have no problem seeing Tevin Farmer Joe Diaz rematch.
yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
it's gonna be. I think May
well,
28th.
the last fight.
You got Tank versus Roland. You got Laurel coming back in John O'Sullivan.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? We're going to talk. We've been doing this a little over 2 hours now, so we're going to try to start wrapping it up because I actually want to come back that week of the Tank and Rolly fight is when I want to do the next one. But one more fight on the 21st, bro. And the only reason this has significance is because the winner of this fight has been named as a potential opponent for Canelo in December, and that's Joshua Buatsi against Craig Richards. Now, nobody wants to see Canelo and Craig Richards, but Buatsi is an undefeated guy that's been kind of built up and being brought along. I kind of, we'll see, but I really hope
We
the
need to
winner of
see.
this fight doesn't get
We
Canelo,
need to
bro.
see how he looks. One fight can change everybody. That can go from a fight nobody wants to see to a fight everybody wants to see after just one fight. So we just gotta see how it play out.
Yeah. So, but all right. Well, we're gonna wrap it up with that, man, because like I said, it's been over 2 hours now. I promise everybody, most of the time we ain't going on 2 hours. Just we talked about everything that happened this year. So, so that was a lot to talk about. But I hope we can do it again. I had fun doing this, man. I hope you had a good time doing it, Melly. And you know, anything you want to say before we get off?
Hey man, just want to talk this boxing shit, man.
Oh yeah, There's so much to talk about, man, and we'll definitely get there. Keep hitting me up, and everybody, make sure you tune in to my YouTube channel, True Boxing on YouTube. It's got the icon of when Marquez knocked out Pacquiao. I appreciate all the support. I'm about 370 subscribers or so, and I'm just trying to build it up a little more and more and more. And I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And thanks to my boy Melly for coming on and being a guest. Hopefully we can do it again. And all right, guys, that's True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.
All right.
All right, man.